Chapter 1474. Min Haochu was in so much pain. His buttocks were in so much pain, and his lower body was in so much pain. Min Haochu grabbed the collar of the policeman as if the policeman was the one who had violated him. He gritted his teeth and said, "You must catch the person from last night." He had been attacked and then violated by someone. Moreover, it was obviously a man who had violated him. Damn it, he had been raped by a man. And it was when he was unconscious. This was rape. Min Haochu had never thought that such a thing would happen to him. This was a matter of dignity. If he had raped a man, even if others knew, they would only say that he knew how to play. But now, he was the one being pressed down. It was related to his dignity, a man's dignity. It was so disgusting. He didn't know what kind of man had done it. And he didn't know if the man was sick or if he would pass some diseases to him. If this matter spread to the country, he would definitely become a laughingstock. And his father would be disappointed in him. You must catch him. The more Min Haochu thought about it, the angrier he became. He shouted angrily, then he hissed and clutched his chest. His heart was beating very fast, and it was so painful that it tightened. And it was getting more and more painful. It was so painful that Min Haochu's lips turned blue. Min Haochu clutched his chest, sweating profusely. "Are you okay?" Min Haochu said, "Take me to the hospital." After going to the hospital to get a tranquilizer, his heart slowly relaxed and didn't hurt so much. Min Haochu had a bad feeling in his heart and asked, "What's wrong with my heart?" "There's nothing wrong. It's just a little heart spasm. When there's nothing else, try to stay calm," the doctor said. Min Haochu asked, "Do I have a heart disease?" "There's no problem with the heart, but it's prone to spasms. Take good care of it in the future," the doctor suggested. "Don't do strenuous exercise, or it might fail in the future." Min Haochu's face was so pale that he couldn't speak. The blows in his life came one after another. He had been raped by a man who didn't know who, and now he was told that there was something wrong with his heart. "But our family doesn't have a history of heart disease. How could there be something wrong with my heart?" Min Haochu couldn't figure it out. Heart disease isn't necessarily inherited. It has something to do with personal habits. Min Haochu grabbed the clothes around his chest and left the hospital. Min Haochu felt that life was really messed up. From then on, he was no longer a healthy person. He couldn't jump around, and he couldn't have violent mood swings. Why did he suddenly have a heart attack? Min Haochu couldn't figure out why he was sleeping on the street. In Min Haochu's memory, there seemed to be more than one person who had touched him. With this thought in mind, Min Haochu felt his back hurt even more. Min Haochu kept this matter a secret. He didn't even tell Oh Haochuan, who lived with him. "You didn't come back last night. Where did you go? Could it be?" Oh Haochuan looked at Min Haochu meaningfully and raised his eyebrows. "You don't look very good. Could it be that you've been fighting for too long? Let me tell you." Oh Haochuan drank his coffee and said to Min Haochu, "Be careful. This foreign woman is too much. I still like young and inexperienced virgins." Min Haochu didn't want to chat. He said to Oh Haochuan, "Ask for leave for me. I won't go today." Oh Haochuan shrugged. Since he didn't have to work in the restaurant, Ning Shu cultivated until the next morning. Then he went out to buy breakfast. Then he looked for the place where Oh Haochuan raced on the internet. Racing was such a dangerous activity. It was normal for something to happen. First, he found out where Oh Haochuan raced. Then he would plan slowly. Ning Shu planned to let Oh Haochuan have an accident after a period of time. With so many accidents, he would definitely be suspicious. Ning Shu didn't want people to know about his existence. It was better to do things so sneakily, like a ghost. After being kicked out of the restaurant, Ning Shu could only find a new job. It was more tiring to work in a small restaurant, and the salary was less. However, one advantage was that food was included. As long as he could have food, he could live. Besides, he still had fasting pills with him. He could save money if he had money. He needed money too much now. Ning Shu bit into a hamburger while looking for a suitable place for racing on his mobile phone. He was looking for the kind of place where the rich second generation liked to pursue excitement. Finally, he found a Taji mountain. This Taji mountain road was quite surrounded. It was winding and winding, which was a test of driving skills. Moreover, the place was relatively remote. It wouldn't disturb the people and wouldn't be caught by the police. Of course, this was also a place for these rascals to avoid racing in the city. That was dangerous. At night, this was a paradise for those racing people, and it was all for the rich. Of course, there were also monetary transactions. The amount was very large. Ning Shu asked for leave and went to Taji Mountain in the evening. There were no cars in Taji Mountain. At night, basically no one came here. If he encountered a grumpy racing person, his car would be smashed directly. It was so fierce. Ning Shu arrived at the starting point. The starting point was full of all kinds of people. There were also racing cheerleaders dancing. The surrounding people were noisy. However, Ning Shu was soon driven out because she didn't have an admission ticket at all. She was not qualified to watch the racing. Ning Shu was speechless. If she was not qualified, then she was not qualified. She hid on the mountainside. However, she knew what she needed to know. Oh Haoxuan drove a yellow sports car and was wearing a racing suit. He was handsome and charming. The blonde girls who were dancing in the cheerleading squad were all mesmerized and screamed one after another. Oh Haoxuan seemed to like this kind of sport very much. He was strictly disciplined in China, but here, he seemed to have developed a new hobby. Ning Shu went back to work and found out the rules of Oh Haoxuan's racing. He didn't go every night. Ning Shu took a poor salary every day and ate hamburgers. The hamburgers tasted really bad. However, she couldn't cook. If she took Yi Xiaodong to live abroad in the future, she must find a better house, a house where she could cook. Now she lived in the basement and couldn't cook. Eating hamburgers every day was really enough. Ning Shu calculated the time. It had been a long time since she went abroad. Ning Shu had been waiting. She had accumulated a lot of money. She could take Yi Xiaodong to live abroad. Ning Shu didn't plan to live in China. She would start a new life with Yi Xiaodong and live a better life. In addition to paying attention to Oh Haoxuan, who liked racing, Ning Shu also paid attention to Min Haochu. She didn't know if Min Haochu would have any sequelae after being pressed down by a man. Maybe he would become gay. Ning Shu went to the restaurant where Min Haochu often went, intending to peek at Min Haochu. Chapter 1475. Ning Shu felt that he was very wretched, peeping at a man like this. Min Haochu seemed to be normal, and there was no change. However, Ning Shu felt that Min Haochu was much gloomier and his movements were much smaller. He probably knew that there was a problem with his heart and was afraid of a heart attack. This was only the beginning. Slowly the heart would slowly fail. How long he could live depended on his maintenance. He had to live carefully like this, not knowing what tomorrow would be like. Maybe he wouldn't see the sun tomorrow. The client was afraid every day, afraid of daily school life, but he didn't dare to go to school because he didn't know what would happen if he didn't go to school. It would anger the three people and lead to more tragic pranks. Just like that, he lived in fear. So, you should also live like this, an unpredictable tomorrow. When Min Haochu left the restaurant, he felt a meaningful gaze peeping at him. Since the incident on the street, Min Haochu had been a lot more sensitive. If a man looked at him more than once, Min Haochu would feel disgusted. He always felt that this man had some dirty thoughts about him. Moreover, after that time, Min Haochu had bloody stools for several days. He didn't even dare to poop. He was so disgusted that he couldn't eat for a few days, and his heart felt uncomfortable. This was the most disgusting thing in Min Haochu's life that made him feel helpless, even if the company had such a big change last time. Min Haochu was just flustered, but this kind of thing happened to him. Min Haochu felt that he couldn't get over this hurdle in his heart for a long time. Ning Shu looked around Min Haochu. He probably noticed his gaze, so he retracted his gaze and left as if nothing had happened. Anyway, Min Haochu's future life wouldn't be easy. Money couldn't buy a healthy body. If there was a heart problem, it couldn't be cured. Unless he changed his heart, even if he changed his heart, there would be a rejection reaction. The medicine couldn't be removed. Therefore, this result was quite good. Ning Shu planned to sneak back. He had been out for too long, and he didn't know how Yi Xiaodong was doing. He left Yi Xiaodong in the country. Ning Shu was really worried. But before he left, there was one more thing to do, and that was Ohaoshuan. Kentucky at night is passionate. The passion of the Kentucky at night is the flavor of hormones. Ning Shu first slipped to the starting point to see if Ohaoshuan had come. Ohaoshuan was still driving a yellow sports car. Then Ning Shu ran away, hiding in the most dangerous part of the curve. This place was a series of bends. If they were not careful, they would run off the road. Ning Shu lay in the grass. The ground was really cold. For the sake of the mission, Ning Shu was really going all out. A gunshot rang out at the top of the mountain. Ning Shu tensed up and was ready to fight at any moment. Cars sped past in front of them one after another. Ning Shu looked at the yellow sports car and released his spiritual force. When he turned the corner, he made Ohaoshuan's car hit the railing. Bang! The car hit the railing. Because of Ning Shu's spiritual power, the car did not rush down the mountain. Otherwise, with such a force, the car would definitely be destroyed and people would die if they rushed down the cliff. But what's the point of being dead? Ning Shu sneaked away. When he reached the foot of the mountain, he saw an ambulance rushing to the top of the mountain. Ning Shu let out a long breath, went back to the basement to pack his things, and the next day boarded the ship to smuggle back to China. Smuggling was really not a human thing. In the future, he must get a new identity and sit comfortably in the cabin, instead of staying in a dirty ship where he was always afraid of being found. Smuggling his life was not guaranteed. After a few difficult days, he finally succeeded in returning home. Stepping on the land, Ning Shu was dizzy. Then he went to find Yi Xiaodong. This time it took a long time. He didn't know how Yi Xiaodong was doing. Ning Shu was afraid that Yi Xiaodong would be found by them. The O family and the Min family might not have that much power, but the Mu family had soldiers in their hands. The strength of an individual was not worth mentioning in front of a country. A mayfly shaking a tree. He heard that Mu Yao was sent to the army for devil training. Ning Shu didn't think that he could avoid the radar and so many soldiers to find Mu Yao. If he couldn't find Mu Yao, he couldn't do what he wanted to do next. Sitting on the bus for a long time was so bumpy that Ning Shu felt like vomiting. After getting off the ship, they had to take the bus again. When they arrived at the conduit, Ning Shu saw Yi Xiaodong with a childish face and let out a long breath. Yi Xiaodong's eyes lit up when he saw Ning Shu. Then, he said aggrievedly, "Why was sister gone for so long this time?" Ning Shu said with a smile, "After sister's matter is settled, we can start a new life." "Let's move to another place," Ning Shu said. Yi Xiaodong asked, "Where are we going?" "Abroad." "Where is abroad?" Ning Shu suddenly thought of a problem. If they really went abroad, Yi Xiaodong might not be able to speak the language. With Yi Xiaodong's IQ, it was very difficult to learn a new language. Ning Shu hit his head. Why didn't he think of this problem before? "Xiaodong, where do you think we should go in the future? Do you like it here?" Ning Shu asked Yi Xiaodong, "If you like it here, we'll stay here. I'll go wherever sister goes. As long as I'm with sister, it's fine." "Let's go abroad," Yi Xiaodong said naively. Ning Shu sighed and stayed in the Taoist temple for a few days. Yi Xiaodong's days in the Taoist temple were very peaceful. He had enough time to paint every day, and the Taoist priest would bring him food when he ate. No one bullied Yi Xiaodong here. In fact, it was good for Yi Xiaodong to have less contact with people. He was immersed in his own world, and there was only Yi Xiaodong in his world. Ning Shu thought about it for a few days and decided to take Yi Xiaodong to a new living environment. It was best to go abroad and start a new life. Ning Shu didn't feel safe at home. Even if he wanted to go abroad, he would go to another country, not Eston. After all, Min Haochu and Mu Yao both had accidents in Eston. If he stayed in that country, it would inevitably arouse suspicion. Then he would go to another country. After making up his mind, Ning Shu didn't have so many worries in his heart. When Yi Xiaodong left, he was reluctant to leave the Taoist temple and couldn't move for a long time. When he saw the Taoist priest, his eyes were filled with tears. Ning Shu put down the bag in his hand and asked Yi Xiaodong, "You really don't want to leave?" Yi Xiaodong shook his head. "Liar." Ning Shu let out a long breath and said with a smile, "Then we won't go. How about we live here?" "Really?" Yi Xiaodong's eyes lit up, looking like a puppy asking for a bone. Chapter 1476. Ning Shu wanted to take Yi Xiaodong away because he wanted Yi Xiaodong to have a good and comfortable life. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to have a good life, but he wanted to take Yi Xiaodong away from the place he was familiar with. It was like putting the cart before the horse. Ning Shu nodded. This place was far away from the city, thousands of miles away. There were so many people in this country. Even if they wanted to check, they wouldn't be able to find it. Ning Shu stayed in the Taoist temple for the time being, but he would move out after a while. Ning Shu wanted to build a house near the Taoist temple for himself and Yi Xiaodong to live in. The environment here was good, and there weren't so many people. The Taoist priest said that there was an abandoned house in the back mountain for Ning Shu and Yi Xiaodong to live in. Ning Shu wanted to buy the house, but the Taoist priest said to let Ning Shu live in it. Anyway, no one lived in that house. However, Ning Shu still donated some incense money. Ning Shu also wanted to ask the Taoist priest for one thing, which was to bring her and Yi Xiaodong to register their identities again. Maybe she was like an aunt to those people. Maybe they didn't care, but she had to be prepared. Ning Shu said that he didn't have an identity. His parents were dead. Now that he was going to be an adult, he didn't know what to do without an identity. He had to change his identity. The country's system could check everything. He made Yi Xiaodong and Yi Xiaodong missing. Ning Shu begged for a long time before the Taoist priest agreed. Then he brought Ning Shu to the local police station and asked for Yi Xiaodong's name. Ning Shu thought for a while. Xiao Tong. Yi Xiaodong will be Xiaodong. It was considered a change of identity. This was the tragedy of being a small fry. Ning Shu and Yi Xiaodong tidied up the abandoned house and slowly added things to the house. Yi Xiaodong was very satisfied with this place. There were mountains and rivers. It was different from the city, and there were many new things. There were worms and grass. In the past, he would always pick up rubbish. Ning Shu had bought himself a computer. Occasionally, he would play games, but most of the time, he would do some research. Ning Shu began to embroider slowly. He decided to use his specialty, double-sided embroidery. She contacted the embroidery shop. Modern people rarely knew how to embroider. Embroidery was not the only way to show off beauty. However, there was still a need for such things. Ning Shu spent almost half a month embroidering the 100 flowers vying for thee and then took a photo for the other party to see. There was a quick reply from the other side, asking Ning Shu to send the finished product over. Ning Shu thought about it and sent it directly. She was not afraid that the other party would destroy her embroidery. She had already done her research beforehand. This shop specialized in tailor-made embroidery, handkerchiefs, or collectibles for the rich. There were also some screens. There was no reply from the other side. Ning Shu went online to play the game. If he had equipment, he would sell it. It could support her and Yi Xiaodong's lives. Yi Xiaodong's life was quite rich now. He could even look at a caterpillar for a long time, watching it crawl there. Ning Shu would go online to see if there was any news about Oh Haoshuan. Oh Haoshuan had a car accident. She did not know how the situation was now. Anyway, it was enough to teach Oh Haoshuan a lesson. In fact, it was not bad to stay under the nose of these people. She could always pay attention to their news. If there was a chance, she would add another stab. The embroidery shop had already replied, saying that Ning Shu could take over the embroidery order and embroider according to the style the customer wanted. The other side sent over all the cloth, needles, and thread used. So Ning Shu began her embroidery career. In the beginning, Ning Shu's embroidery was very simple. It was a handkerchief. She only needed to embroider a name or a fancy English name on the handkerchief. She was not qualified to embroider big things now. It was related to her own livelihood. Ning Shu embroidered very seriously. The stitches were fine and nothing was left behind. When Ning Shu was embroidering, she turned on the camera and recorded the embroidery method. She explained step by step how to embroider. These were all left for Yi Xiaodong. Ning Shu embroidered for 2 days and sent the things over. Soon, the other side said that the embroidery method was very good and sent over a sum of money. Ning Shu looked at the remittance message. It was a lot of money. It was more profitable than playing games. However, she would only have work to do if the other side received the order. She believed that she would be able to save enough money for Yi Xiaodong's art exhibition soon. In addition to embroidery and playing games, Ning Shu had now found another hobby to pass the time. That was to make delicious food. When she had nothing to do, she would find recipes on the internet and then slowly cook according to the recipes. It was awesome to be able to carve a beautiful plate. Yi Xiaodong was her taster, but Yi Xiaodong said that everything was delicious. Ning Shu would make some pastries for the Taoist priest in front of her to try. Life was very simple and unrestrained. If there was an order, she would do it. If there was no order, she would do other things. Occasionally, she would go to the mountains to pick some herbs. In order to prevent Yi Xiaodong from getting sick, there was no hospital around, so she couldn't do emergency treatment. Yi Xiaodong drew more and more things. Ning Shu would buy drawing paper for Yi Xiaodong every once in a while and then put away all the paintings drawn by Yi Xiaodong. In the future, these could be the contents of the art exhibition. It was probably because the food was good. Yi Xiaodong was taller again. He used to be taller than her, but now he seemed to be taller. They were both at the age of growing, but why wasn't this body growing? This was really unscientific. Ning Shu had a glass of milk every day because of this, but she could still only look up at Yi Xiaodong's height. Ning Shu was not tall when she was alive. Because she was tortured by illness, her body was broken, and she was not tall. Especially in the soul state, Ning Shu's height was very small. So when she saw Yi Xiaodong's growing height, her heart was very complicated. Yi Xiaodong didn't know that his sister was envious of him. He was very happy every day, especially happy. Smiling happily, Ning Shu felt that life was not like this. Happy, ordinary but happy. Ning Shu planned to go to the city to take a look because there was no information about Oh Haoshuan on the internet. It seemed that Oh Haoshuan's car accident was very well hidden. Ning Shu planned to go there to investigate. There should be some news about the aristocratic school. What was the situation with Min Haochu? Ning Shu prepared a lot of food for Yi Xiaodong and put it in the refrigerator. He also asked the Taoist priest to help take care of Yi Xiaodong. Ning Shu found that the Taoist priest's complexion was getting better and better. The Taoist priest was already in his 60s, but his mental state was very good. Ning Shu asked curiously, "Taoist priest, did you succeed in cultivating?" The Taoist priest touched his beard. "It seems to be a little useful. My body is a little more relaxed." "You really cultivated?" The Taoist priest said, "I think this is a way to meditate. I meditate when I have nothing to do, and I feel more comfortable." Ning Shu nodded. "It's good that the Taoist priest thinks it's useful. I'm going to the city to buy something. Help me take care of Xiaodong. It will take a while." Ning Shu got on the bus. It was bumpy for several days before they reached the city. They found a small hotel to stay in. Chapter 1477. Ning Shu stayed in the hotel. He turned on the GPS and spent 5 merit points to see which hospital Oh Haoshuan was in. Oh Haoshuan and Mu Yeyao had returned to China, and they were 2 small red dots. This meant that Oh Haoshuan didn't die in the car accident. He was really lucky. Ning Shu took a taxi to the hospital, but he was told that visitors were not allowed. Oh Haoshuan was in a VIP ward, and ordinary people couldn't visit him at all. Ning Shu asked the nurse, "How is he?" The nurse said directly, "We can't reveal the patient's condition." Ning Shu could only give up and leave the hospital. He met Mu Yeyao at the entrance of the hospital. Mu Yeyao was wearing a military uniform, and his skin was much darker. Obviously, he had suffered a lot in the army, and he was here to see Oh Haoshuan. Ning Shu walked over with his head down and bumped straight into Mu Yeyao. Both of them fell to the ground from the impact. Mu Yeyao got up and felt that his ribs had been broken. "How can you walk?" The moment Mu Yeyao opened his mouth, there was a valiant aura and a faintly discernible murderous aura. Ning Shu quickly got up and apologized with his head down. I'm sorry. Ning Shu apologized and ran away with his back bent. Mu Yeyao rubbed his ribs and coughed twice. "How can you walk?" After Ning Shu left the hospital, he went to find a private detective to ask for information. It should be big news that someone like Oh Haoxuan had a car accident. The private detective should know the news. Oh Haoxuan had a car accident when he was racing abroad. It's not a big deal, just a concussion and a broken hand, the private detective said. Is the concussion and fracture serious? Ning Shu asked. The private detective said, it's quite serious. I heard that he hasn't woken up yet. His hand is seriously fractured, and he needs a steel plate. Ning Shu nodded. It was quite serious. With a steel plate he would never be able to race again. Ning Shu gave the money and stayed for a few more days to buy some things. Every once in a while, she would ask the private investigator about Oh Haoxuan's situation. Oh Haoxuan's head had suffered a heavy blow, and he hadn't woken up yet. If he continued to sleep like this, it was very likely that he would become a vegetable. Ning Shu sat on the bumpy bus and went back. Go back and live a peaceful life. Earn money to settle down and then organize an art exhibition for Yi Xiaodong. Everything that needed to be done had been done. The client's misfortune was because he had intruded into a life that did not belong to him. Because he was weak, he had to be bullied. Even if he had to curry favor and please these people, he still couldn't change his fate of being bullied. Ning Shu returned to the Taoist temple and went to the house at the back of the mountain. He saw Yi Xiaodong lying on the ground, his face and body dirty. Seeing that Ning Shu had returned, Yi Xiaodong jumped up to welcome Ning Shu. Ning Shu put down the suitcase, patted the dust off Yi Xiaodong's clothes and asked, have you been eating well recently? Yes, the Taoist priest sent someone to deliver food to me. Ning Shu nodded and looked at the innocent Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong's brain wasn't very good. He thought of things simply and happily. Like this, he lived in a semi-secluded state with Yi Xiaodong. He didn't have to worry about the secular world. He could support himself and didn't have to suffer much. It was simply great. He cultivated a vegetable field in front of the house and planted fresh vegetables with onions and garlic. It was simply great. The life of those princes was something that Yi Xiaodong would never be able to live in his life. So, he lived comfortably like this. During the time that Ning Shu was away, another order came in. He carefully looked at the customer's request and embroidered according to the request. If it was a small embroidery, Ning Shu embroidered very quickly. If it was a large embroidery, such as hand-embroidered clothes, it would be very slow. But the price was very high. After all, it was hand-embroidered needle by needle. It took a lot of manpower and time. When Ning Shu was embroidering, he turned on the camera and saved the video on the computer desktop. It could be seen at a glance. After working for a few days, Ning Shu packed the order and sent it over. The other party received it and checked to make sure that there were no mistakes. Then they would transfer the money. After the order was done, the rest of the time was very leisurely. Ning Shu was either cooking, playing games, or weeding. Ning Shu felt that his cooking skills had improved greatly. In the past, he only cooked noodles. Now, he was good at steaming, frying, roasting, and making soup. As expected, it was because of the addition of wisdom. In the past, he felt that cooking was boring. Now, he experienced the joy of it. Moreover, he learned faster than before. He wouldn't be clumsy. In life, food and clothing were two things. It was necessary to cook something delicious to reward himself. Although the fasting pill could withstand hunger, it didn't have any taste at all. Why did the food have to be cooked before eating? Firstly, it was for hygiene. Secondly, it was to make the food taste better. When eating, one could feel the happiness of eating. This was the cooking that Ning Shu experienced. Moreover, cooking was also a skill. Who knew when it would be useful? Maybe he would open a restaurant in the next world. There was no harm in having more skills. Moreover, he was in a good mood when he cooked delicious food and put it on a nice plate. After living on the mountain for a period of time, Ning Shu felt very comfortable. He tied a swing to the side of the house. On a cool night when he was enjoying the cool air, he sat on it. He looked at the sky full of stars. In the morning, he picked wildflowers with dewdrops and placed them in a vase. No matter how ordinary a day was, it would be poetic. Ning Shu felt that he wasn't here to do a mission. He was here for a vacation. He had family members who could rely on him. He didn't have to be on guard. He didn't have to climb up for some purpose. He didn't have to please others for his purpose. He didn't have to be afraid of other people's opinions and discussions. This was true freedom. He didn't have to change himself because of other people's comments. Ning Shu always knew what he wanted. He climbed towards his goal. He didn't care about other people's opinions. Even if he calculated everything clearly and wouldn't hurt innocent people who had nothing to do with him. His calculations were just his own struggle. Ning Shu checked the amount of money on his card. He needed a lot of money to open an art exhibition. He needed a place and renovations. Moreover, Yi Xiaodong wasn't famous. Naturally, no one would come to see him. Ning Shu searched for an art competition on the internet. If there was any competition, he would submit Yi Xiaodong's paintings. It wouldn't be too late to hold an art exhibition when Yi Xiaodong had some reputation in the art world. Ning Shu didn't want Yi Xiaodong to be exposed to the world. He would keep it a mystery. Yi Xiaodong should live a stable life. Painting was something that he simply liked. He didn't need to rely on painting to achieve any goals. This was a good state. As long as it was an art competition, Ning Shu would submit a lot of Yi Xiaodong's paintings. However, he encountered a problem. Yi Xiaodong had learned how to write his own name. Now, he had to change his name. He had to learn it again. Chapter 1478. Ning Shu held Yi Xiaodong's hand and taught him how to write his new name. And if it was a beautiful signature, he would sign it on the lower right corner of the drawing paper. Yi Xiaodong was a painter after all. He learned to write his own name and sign his own name. It was quite beautiful. This was talent, instinct. It was different from Ning Shu, who didn't have any artistic cells. Ning Shu didn't know if this mission was considered a success or not. Min Haochu had a heart attack, Haoxuan had a car accident, and as for Mu Yeyao, that hit must have broken his bones. Ning Shu clenched his fist and protruded his knuckles. He used the protruding knuckles to hit Mu Yeyao's ribs. It was enough for Mu Yeyao to hurt. It was very painful. It would hurt for a long time. This mission hadn't told her to leave yet. It was probably because the art exhibition hadn't been held yet. But holding an art exhibition wasn't something that could be done overnight. It would cost a lot of money. Many painters didn't have the capital to hold an art exhibition in their lifetime. Painters who could hold an art exhibition were all famous and rich. She could only take it slow. She didn't know how long she would have to stay in this world. After a while, some of the drawings that Ning Shu submitted won a small prize. It was almost a consolation prize. Some of them directly thanked her for participating. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry. Some things couldn't be done overnight. However, some of the drawings were selected as illustrations for children's books. They even got some money. Ning Shu made a bank card for Yi Xiaodong. This was all the money that Yi Xiaodong earned. Ning Shu was a little worried about what kind of wife Yi Xiaodong would marry in the future. Yi Xiaodong's mind wasn't complete. He was a fool. Basically, no woman was willing to marry Yi Xiaodong and face a foolish man. He hoped that Yi Xiaodong would meet a kind girl in the future and spend the rest of his life with her. Ning Shu was also worried about what kind of man Yi Xiaodong would marry. She really had too much time on her hands. Ning Shu felt that this kind of life was pretty good. With new people joining them, they had to get used to each other. It would cause a lot of trouble. Ding, mission completed. Leaving the mission world. Moving to the next trial mission. 2333's voice sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. The first quest was over. There were only 2 quests left. Ning Shu's soul left Yi Xiaodong's body. He felt dizzy and felt that his soul was merging into another body. This time, it took a little longer for his soul to fuse into his body. When Ning Shu opened his eyes, he couldn't help but rub his head. His head felt very heavy. Very tired. From today onwards, you are my contracted divine beast. A cold voice rang in Ning Shu's ears. Ning Shu looked up and saw a woman, cold and noble, looking down at Ning Shu. Contract with a mythological beast. Not a human this time? Ning Shu didn't make a sound as he surveyed his surroundings. They were surrounded by a forest. The woman reached out and lifted Ning Shu's chin. Are you still not convinced? Do you want me to hit you again? The woman patted Ning Shu's face. Pretty boy, you look pretty good. Ning Shu was speechless. And she was a man. Not a human, but a male. A Spartan, a man. Ning Shu couldn't help but touch his lower body. In the end, he couldn't help but close his eyes. He was really a man. Seeing Ning Shu touch his indescribable place, Yu Lioli couldn't help but twitch her mouth. He was clearly a pretty boy. How could he do such a wretched thing? Hey, pretty boy, what are you doing? Yu Lioli couldn't help but say, I'm your master now. If you continue to ignore me, I'll teach you a lesson. Yu Lioli's brows furrowed. She had a fierce aura around her. Very cool, very domineering. Ning Shu's head suddenly hurt like needles. It was so painful that he couldn't take it. Ning Shu couldn't help but hug his head. It was too painful. It felt like his soul was about to be torn apart. Ning Shu had entered the world without resting, so his soul was a little tired. Now, for some reason, his soul was in so much pain. Ning Shu's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he looked at the calm woman. His head hurt so much because of this woman. Didn't this woman say that she was his contracted mythological beast? Ning Shu rubbed his forehead and said, Wait, what are you doing? Yu Lioli crossed her arms and looked at Ning Shu. Are you going to submit to me, your master now? Since you're by my side, you're my partner. I definitely won't mistreat you. Although he didn't know what this woman called Yu Lioli was talking about, she was in so much pain just now. Now, she was talking about partners. She even said that there would be benefits. Just the feeling of being controlled by someone was very uncomfortable. Ning Shu felt like he was Sun Wukong. Moreover, he was in a tight band. As long as Yu Lioli chanted the curse, he would be in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Ning Shu hadn't received the storyline yet. He was still a little confused about what was going on, so he didn't resist. Ning Shu nodded. I understand. Yu Lioli nodded. Don't worry, pretty boy. I'll take good care of you. Ning Shu. Can you not call me pretty boy? Yu Lioli sat down. It's dark. We'll spend the night here. This is your territory. You should be very familiar with it. Go and get something to eat now. Ning Shu nodded and turned to leave. Now, he needed some time to receive the storyline. There was still some distance between him and Yu Lioli. Ning Shu began to accept the storyline. The original owner was called Kong Lin. His original body was a peacock. After going through the heavenly tribulation, he finally became a mythological beast. He was very powerful. He originally lived in seclusion in this mountain range and didn't have any opponents. Then he became someone else's contracted mythological beast. Yu Lioli was an idiot who couldn't cultivate. Although she was born in a big family, because she couldn't cultivate, it was inevitable that she would be bullied. Hence, Yu Lioli was timid and weak. But it was completely different from the Yu Lioli just now. Yu Lioli's core had changed. This Yu Lioli was a modern female secret agent. She knew all kinds of martial arts. She knew how to use poison, martial arts, and all kinds of awesome skills. After transmigrating into this useless body, she started the path of defying the heavens. Of course, on this path of defying the heavens, there were divine weapons, mythological beasts, and divine pills. All kinds of things piled up on her body. Other than these mythological beasts, divine pills, and divine weapons, there were all kinds of mysterious men who all gathered around her. They were just short of a martial arts competition. Whoever was more powerful would be the main husband, and there would be a harem or 72 husbands. Of course, a woman like Yu Lioli had the ability and the looks. Naturally, she was liked by men. She had the capital. The original owner, Kong Lin, was the first mythological beast that Yu Lioli contracted. Now, Yu Lioli had just transmigrated. She was bullied by her peers, siblings, cousins, and was thrown into this mountain forest. She died midway. It was a domineering secret agent who transmigrated into this mountain forest. She accidentally ate some heavenly treasure that could open up a person's meridians. Then, Yu Lioli could cultivate. Chapter 1479. Jade Glazedly began to cultivate according to the memories left behind by the original owner of the body. Jade Glazedly already knew martial arts, and now that she could cultivate, She managed to survive in this dangerous mountain range with many spirit beasts. However, she wasn't in a hurry to go back for revenge. Instead, she cultivated in the mountain range. She accidentally touched the tree trunk where Kong Lin was resting. She formed a contract with Kong Lin in a daze. Kong Lin was a divine beast, and he only became one after going through a heavenly tribulation. Spirit beasts weren't as blessed with cultivation as humans. Kong Lin had suffered a lot to become a divine beast. Lightning tribulations struck his body, and he went through one difficult tribulation after another. It wasn't easy for him to become a divine beast, but now he was formed a contract with a weak human in a daze. This human was so weak that he could tear her apart with one claw, but she was formed a contract and her freedom was taken away. Moreover, it was a master-servant contract. His life and death were in Jade Glazed Lee's hands. He couldn't resist whatever Jade Glazed Lee wanted him to do. Even if he died, it wouldn't affect Jade Glazed Lee. Even if she wanted him to self-destruct his spirit core, he would self-destruct. Jade Glazed Lee, who had just transmigrated, was still very weak. Kong Lin had to take on the responsibility of protecting Jade Glazed Lee. Because if Jade Glazed Lee died, he wouldn't be able to live either. Jade Glazed Lee's biggest characteristic was that she was hated by others. Whether it was jealousy or hatred, she had many enemies. However, the enemies she provoked were all stronger than her. The weak Jade Glazed Lee was crushed by herself, and the enemy she couldn't resist was Kong Lin. Kong Lin was a divine beast. How proud would it be to take him out? It was clearly Kong Lin's own cultivation, and it was fortunate that he obtained his strength through hard work. It became Jade Glazed Lee's strength to flaunt. How proud would it be to contract with a divine beast? He didn't know if Jade Glazed Lee wanted to show off, but she kept pulling Jade Glazed Lee out. Kong Lin couldn't figure it out. He cultivated painstakingly and inexplicably formed a contract with her. Then, he began to live a miserable life as a subordinate. There were no benefits, no freedom, and a lifetime of service. His life was in the hands of others. The amount of time and hardships required for a spirit beast to cultivate its spiritual intelligence and then cultivate its human form was simply indescribable to outsiders. Originally, the spirit beasts in the forest respected the strong while the weak were eliminated. When they cultivated, they had to ensure that they would survive and not be torn apart by their natural enemies. Kong Lin felt indignant. All his hard work had been for the sake of being a weak human's mount. Being stepped on by a weak human being and fighting for him. If he encountered something too powerful, he would have to risk his life to protect his master. This was because if his master died, he wouldn't be able to live either. He had to protect his master, just like how he protected his eyeballs. However, this master was more capable. He was very mighty and domineering. No matter who it was, he could rebuke, and he dared to provoke anyone. Every time this happened, Kong Lin would have a headache. If something went wrong, he would be the one to blame. Sometimes, Bai Liuli was a little unscrupulous because she had a backing. Kong Lin was filled with resentment. If it had been a strong opponent, then so be it. After all, the strong were respected. However, such a weak human had contracted him. Moreover, it was a master-servant contract. How could Kong Lin, who had painstakingly become a divine beast, accept this? When Jade Glazed Lee wasn't strong enough, she had to rely on Kong Lin to protect her. Moreover, it was compulsory. As a divine beast, how could a human tolerate the arrogance of a divine beast? As Jade Glazed Lee's strength increased, the divine beast she contracted also became more and more powerful. There were also divine weapons that could destroy heaven and earth. As for Kong Lin's existence, it was a little useless. Usually, he was reduced to a mount and didn't have to risk his life to protect Jade Glazed Lee. However, the world of spirit beasts had a strict hierarchy. After Jade Glazed Lee's contract, the divine beasts she contracted were all very powerful. They were even ancient divine beasts. Kong Lin's strength couldn't compare to these ancient divine beasts that fought in groups. It was very awkward. In addition, Kong Lin had a master-servant contract. The others were all equal contracts or soul contracts. In an equal contract, if one party died, it wouldn't affect the other. However, a soul contract entangled their fates together. If one died, the other would also die. Only Kong Lin had a master-servant contract. His life and death didn't affect Jade Glazedly. Kong Lin thought that since his existence didn't matter, he wanted to break the contract with Jade Glazedly. When Kong Lin made this request, Jade Glazedly was a little sad. She said that the contracted beasts were all her companions. How could he do this? However, Jade Glazedly was a proud person. Since Kong Lin didn't want to follow her anymore, she directly broke the contract domineeringly. Kong Lin didn't even have time to be happy before he was ravaged by Jade Glazedly's divine beast army. She said that how could Kong Lin do this? Kong Lin couldn't beat these ancient divine beasts. He could only suppress his anger and swear loyalty to Jade Glazedly. Jade Glazedly even generously rewarded Kong Lin with some pills and told him to cultivate well. Kong Lin felt very tormented. He was in a precarious situation. He had no freedom. Even his life wasn't in his hands. Every time he went, there would be a large group of divine beasts piling on his back. It was simply mighty and domineering. Kong Lin's wish was to break free from Jade Glazedly. It was as if he wanted freedom. He felt very sad and sullen. Jade Glazedly even said that she treated him as a companion. If Jade Glazedly's life was in Kong Lin's hands, Jade Glazedly would have pierced the heavens and destroyed Kong Lin long ago. Those ancient divine beasts wanted to form a contract with Jade Glazedly. That was their business. But Kong Lin couldn't take it anymore. Jade Glazedly was weak and he wanted to protect her. Now that there were so many powerful forces, he had become a means of transportation. If he wanted to leave, he would be betraying Jade Glazedly. Ning Shu stood by the stream and looked into the water to see what he looked like. As expected of a peacock. His face was really beautiful. It was hard to tell if he was male or female. Ning Shu suspected that Jade Glazedly felt that Kong Lin was good-looking and kept him by her side as a facade. After all, she was surrounded by handsome men. She was in a good mood. Kong Lin's wish was to break free from Jade Glazedly. But now, Jade Glazedly and Kong Lin had already formed a contract. His soul was in Jade Glazedly's hands. With a single thought from Jade Glazedly, Ning Shu's mission would fail. His success or failure, all his hard work, could disappear with a single thought from someone else. Ning Shu could feel Kong Lin's feelings. This feeling was really terrible. But now that the contract was formed, how could it be broken? This kind of contract was recognized by the laws of heaven and earth. If it was broken, it would be erased by the laws of heaven and earth. Unless the contractor was willing to break the contract. But if it was broken, it would also affect the contractor's strength. Some people would rather have their contracted beasts explode and die than be willing to cancel the contract. Ning Shu frowned. His reflection in the water also frowned. His jade-like face had a worried expression. Because of his good looks, Ning Shu was now a melancholy handsome man. The melancholy handsome man standing alone by the stream. In fact, Ning Shu was angrily cursing his father in his heart. Chapter 1480. Ning Shu realized that this mission was even worse than the previous world. Because now that the contract was successful, it wasn't easy to cancel it. Yu Liuli was still very weak, so how could he cancel the contract and give up on such a great help? Moreover, she was a god beast, so contracting a god beast was something to be proud of. If Kong Lin could threaten Yu Liuli to cancel the contract, he would have done it long ago. If he forced Yu Liuli into a corner and wanted to kill him, the laws of heaven and earth would take care of him for her. Because the rules of the contract were like that. Ning Shu cursed in his heart and felt so sullen. He had no choice but to protect her because if she died, he couldn't live either. Even Kong Lin didn't know how to cancel the contract, so what could she do? It was pretty much a dead end. Life was very helpless and everyone was stuck in a swamp. Now that Jade Glazed Jade was weak, she needed a powerful force to protect her. At the same time, she needed someone who could show off and crush others. So, Kong Lin was chosen. Thinking about it this way, Kong Lin felt like he was a chess piece. He wanted to jump out of the chessboard, but there was nothing he could do. He was too weak. Kong Lin cultivated so hard and became a god beast was a bit laughable. It wasn't that Kong Lin didn't think about killing this weak human, But once he had such a thought, his soul would shake and he would be destroyed at any moment. Kong Lin tried all methods to obtain freedom, but they were all useless because the other party knew his weakness. Ning Shu looked at the reflection in the water again and touched his face. Damn, he was too handsome. Ning Shu was stunned by his own handsomeness, so he decisively shifted his gaze. Now, he had to find food for Yu Liuli. He really was a master. Because of Kong Lin, a divine beast, there were very few other spirit beasts that invaded Kong Lin's territory. There weren't any small spirit beasts that could eat. Ning Shu perfunctorily found some edible fruits and went back. Yu Liuli looked around warily. When she saw Ning Shu, she heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "Why were you gone for so long?" Seeing that Ning Shu didn't bring back any prey, Yu Liuli frowned and asked, "Is there nothing to eat?" Ning Shu had an arrogant look on his face. "This is my territory. There are no other spirit beasts here." Ordinary spirit beasts couldn't bear the pressure of a divine beast. Ning Shu took out a few fruits. "Just eat these. In the future, this kind of matter of finding food can be solved by yourself. I am a divine beast, not your manservant." Ning Shu made her position clear. Otherwise, she would be busy with all the trivial matters in the future. Yu Liuli looked at the fruit in Ning Shu's hand that was neither green nor red. She couldn't help but twitch her lips. This peacock was too arrogant. Now that it had become her contracted mythological beast, it still couldn't see the situation clearly. "You are a divine beast, but now you have become my contracted divine beast." Yu Liuli coldly said, very domineering. Ning Shu spread out his slender white hands. "So, although you are a divine beast, now I can kill you with a thought." Yu Liuli didn't back down. Now Yu Liuli and Ning Shu were fighting for the advantage of status. The strong are respected. If you can beat me, I'll listen to everything you say. Ning Shu leaped up a tree and rested her head on the back of her hand. She was lying on the branch in a relaxed posture. "But don't forget, I am the one who contracted you. It is a master-servant contract. I am the master and you are the servant." Yu Liuli said somewhat angrily. A contracted mythological beast was actually a thorn in his side. "As long as you can beat me, I will listen to your orders. If you are weak and still want me to serve you, then you can ask me to self-destruct." Ning Shu knew that the current Yu Liuli wouldn't let him die. Yu Liuli hadn't grown up yet and didn't have enough strength to deal with the hatred she attracted. She could challenge those of a higher level, but that was too much. Only a mythological beast like her could do it. Yu Liuli's chest puffed up and she let out a deep breath. She looked up at Ning Shu and said firmly, "One day, you will follow me willingly. I am weak now, but that doesn't mean I will always be weak. I will be stronger than you in the future." Yu Liuli's voice was sonorous and powerful. She was a special agent who had seen the world. Her domineering appearance was very charming. Ning Shu closed his eyes, his clothes fluttering. He snorted. "Then you can do it. Defeat me and then break the contract with me, a mythological beast who is as weak as a pheasant. Hurry up and slap my face." Yu Liuli snorted. "I definitely will." Yu Liuli didn't eat the green fruits Ning Shu brought back. Instead, she went to find something to eat. Yu Liuli actually heaved a sigh of relief. Although this peacock was very troublesome, it was still a mythological beast. Its strength was definitely not weak. Their lives were linked together. If she was in danger, the peacock would definitely save her. If she died, the peacock would also die. For the sake of her own life, she wouldn't let her die. Now, only this contract could help restrain the peacock. Ning Shu watched as Yu Liuli took the dagger and went to hunt by herself. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. In his sea of consciousness, there was a grain-sized silver-white thing. This should be Yu Liuli's consciousness. It was this grain-sized thing that controlled her fate. Ning Shu tried to use his mental energy to touch this thing, but it bounced back the moment he touched it. And his soul was shaken. This wasn't a simple contract. It was protected by the laws of heaven and earth. In fact, it was to break free from the laws of heaven and earth and get rid of Yu Liuli. But how could it be so easy to break free from the laws of heaven and earth? This mission, The person who entrusted it, Kong Lin, cultivated by absorbing the essence of heaven and earth and breathing in and out spiritual energy. Ning Shu activated his peerless martial arts. Spiritual energy quickly surged into Ning Shu's body. As expected, this kind of world was more comfortable. It had abundant spiritual energy. Yu Li returned with injuries. At the same time, she dragged a spirit beast back. Seeing that Yu Li had returned, Ning Shu stopped cultivating. He looked at the things that Yu Li had hunted. Yu Li used the dagger to cut open the prey's chest and prepared to roast it. If it was Ning Shu's suppression, such a strong smell of blood would definitely attract other spirit beasts. Spirit beasts had spiritual energy in their bodies. Spirit beasts would hunt and kill each other to replenish their energy. This was also a powerful method. As if to prove herself in front of Ning Shu, Yu Li professionally displayed the qualities of a special agent. She started a fire on the spot, knew how to deal with the animal's internal organs, and even found seasonings in the surroundings. She sprinkled them on the meat and roasted it over the fire. The roasted meat emitted a mouth-watering aroma. Yu Li glanced at Ning Shu from time to time, as if to see if Ning Shu would drool over the meat she roasted. After roasting it, Yu Li didn't give it to Ning Shu. She ate it alone. She probably wanted to make Ning Shu unable to resist the temptation of delicious food. Then she would give it to Ning Shu to save some face. Chapter 1481. Ning Shu saw that Yu Li was tempting him with delicious food, but his heart did not waver. Ning Shu was not greedy at all for these smoky things. Seeing that Ning Shu was unmoved by the peacock, Yu Li picked up a thigh and gave it to Ning Shu. In the future, he would have to rely on the peacock's protection. Now, this peacock was unwilling. Ning Shu waved his hand. "I'm a peacock. I don't eat meat. I'm an immortal that only drinks dew." Yu Li took back the thigh with a cold expression. "I forgot that peacocks eat insects." Ning Shu was speechless. "Wrong. I eat grass seeds and wild fruits. I only eat insects occasionally. Usually I eat spirit fruits." "Spirit fruits?" Ning Shu retorted. Yu Li did not say anything. She chewed on the greasy barbecued meat. Ning Shu decided to cultivate by himself. There was nothing wrong with becoming stronger. Protecting himself was also protecting Yu Li. Protecting Yu Li was protecting his own life. So now she had to take care of two lives. Yu Li was full. She did not see Ning Shu around. She could not help but frown. This divine beast was too arrogant. If not for the contract, Yu Li would have suspected that this peacock wanted to kill her. Yu Li was also afraid that if she pushed it too far, she would trample on the peacock's arrogant divine beast heart and die together with her. She thought that she was dead for sure. She did not expect that she would have a second life. She could not die like this. Thinking of this, she could not be bothered to care about Ning Shu. She only needed to act when there was danger. This was how relationships between people were. Only when you were tough and uncompromising would you consider your emotions no matter what you did or said. There was a bottom line to having principles. If others trampled on your principles again and again, if you backed down once, you would have to back down again. There was no way to back down. If you showed your bottom line, others would not dare to trample on it so wantonly. Ning Shu cultivated for an entire night. He did not cultivate in the morning. The person who entrusted him was not weak. Most dangers could be dealt with. The difficult part was how to defy the laws of heaven and earth and break the contract. Every world had its own laws, and the people who lived in this world were bound by these laws. The one who entrusted the task was already a divine beast, and his strength was not to be underestimated. But in front of the laws of heaven and earth, he was just an ant. Ning Shu had a headache. Seeing Yu Li leave, Ning Shu hurriedly followed her. The mountain range was very dangerous, and Yu Li was very weak right now. He had to protect her well. Ning Shu followed behind Yu Li, munching on a fruit. Yu Li turned to look at Ning Shu. "Didn't he follow us?" "What at Sundra? You said you don't want it, but you still don't want it." Yu Li teased, "Pretty boy, as long as you follow me, I'll definitely give you benefits." As Yu Li spoke, she reached out and lifted Ning Shu's chin, looking as if she was trying to seduce him. Ning Shu didn't resist and silently swallowed the fruit in his mouth. His Adam's apple bobbed, looking exceptionally sexy. Even Yu Lioli was stunned for a moment. This peacock was so beautiful that people couldn't help but want to ravage it. Do you want to be ravaged? Ning Shu asked indifferently. Yu Lioli's heart sank. She couldn't communicate with this old-fashioned divine beast. Shouldn't this peacock fly into a rage out of humiliation? Instead, it asked her if she wanted to do that. Yu Lioli retracted her hand that was lifting Ning Shu's chin. Why do I feel that you're so weird? That's for sure. It'd be strange if I wasn't being sarcastic. I was inexplicably contracted, and I even have to protect an ant like you. Do you want me to be happy? Ning Shu said bluntly. Yu Lioli frowned. You're a big man. Can you not be so petty? Don't talk about gender. Why don't we recontract? It's still a master-servant contract, but I'll be the master and you'll be the servant. How about it? Ning Shu leaned against a tree, looking magnificent. Of course, there will be benefits for you if you follow me. Great benefits. Yu Lioli immediately stopped talking. See, she was going to be enslaved for the rest of her life, and she still wanted him to be grateful. Wasn't that a bit too difficult? Shouldn't she act cute or something? It wasn't easy for her to become a divine beast. She wasn't going to do such things. One day, I'll be incomparably powerful, Yu Lioli said in a low voice. Then you won't regret following me. What benefits do you have for me if you become powerful? What does it have to do with me if you become powerful? Ning Shu asked back. I'm just too weak now. That's why you're unwilling to become my divine beast. One day, you'll willingly submit to me. Yu Lioli's words were sonorous and powerful, full of confidence. Ning Shu's face was cold. Yu Lioli would definitely become powerful, but after she became powerful, Kong Lin still wanted to leave Yu Lioli. Yu Lioli didn't understand the nature of the matter at all. She didn't understand the root cause of their conflict. It was because of the master-servant contract. It was because Yu Lioli could decide his fate at will. There wasn't even basic equality. After going through untold hardships to become a divine beast, he escorted Yu Lioli all the way to become a powerhouse. But what benefits did this have for Kong Lin? No matter how strong the protagonist's halo was, under the threat of his life and the desire for freedom, it was useless. If it was an equal contract, where both parties' lives were in the other party's hands, everyone would advance and retreat together. The entrusting party wouldn't be so indignant and want to escape the fate of being contracted. Moreover, for a divine beast to be contracted by a human wasn't something glorious. Moreover, divine beasts had spirit cores in their bodies. Maybe the human would dig out the spirit cores in their bodies. This was especially true for spirit pills of divine beasts. Some pills required spirit pills of divine beasts. If Yu Lioli wanted her spirit core, she couldn't resist at all. Especially since divine beasts had very long lives. They had to protect Yu Lioli for a lifetime. As humans cultivated, their lifespan would also increase. This way, they would be enslaved for a long, long time. If they couldn't live for long and the human died, the contracted beast would also burp. So helpless and hopeless. Yu Lioli walked in front, while Ning Shu walked behind unhurriedly. He had been paying attention to the grain-sized thing in his sea of consciousness. Although it was small, Ning Shu's psyche power was immediately repelled when it came into contact with it. It was accompanied by a tearing pain in his soul. Of course, Yu Lioli didn't have such a strong power. This was the power of the contract, the power of law. This power was forcing her to submit. Ning Shu rubbed his swollen head and followed behind Yu Lioli. Yu Lioli was a person doted on by the heavens. No matter where she went, she would encounter good things. Some heaven and earth treasures, spirit herbs that could be used to refine pills. Look, that's the jasper fruit. Yu Lioli pointed at a cliff. The jasper fruit was very small, and there was a nest next to it. Obviously, it was where the jasper fruit's companion beast lived. This jasper fruit was guarded by a guardian beast. With Yu Lioli's current strength, she couldn't defeat the guardian beast. Chapter 1482. Ulioli really wanted the jasper fruit, but she definitely couldn't beat the guardian beast. In the end, Ning Shu had to do it. Ning Shu cursed inwardly. Ning Shu said to Ulioli, "That's the jasper fruit. It can be used to refine the jasper soul returning pill. It's a divine medicine that can bring the dead back to life." Ning Shu was indifferent. Ulioli was excited. She flew up the cliff to grab the jasper fruit. Just as she was about to grab the jasper fruit, a wind blade slashed at her hand. Ulioli dodged the wind blade. The wind blade hit the cliff and left a deep mark. If this wind blade hit Ulioli, she definitely wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. A large condor stood at the entrance of the cave, its sharp eyes staring at Ulioli. Ulioli's hand grabbed onto a rock on the cliff as her body floated in the air. The large condor flapped its wings and attacked Ulioli. Ulioli held a dagger in her hand and fought with the large condor. Ulioli was very weak now. Facing the large condor's attack, she seemed to be having a hard time. Ning Shu continued to watch indifferently. As long as Ulioli's life wasn't in danger, she couldn't be bothered. As long as Ulioli didn't die, she would be fine. As for Ulioli's broken arms and legs, that had nothing to do with her. Ulioli's expression was serious and stubborn. She persisted and didn't call for Ning Shu. Since Ulioli wasn't asking for help, Ning Shu wouldn't meddle. Ulioli's hand was pecked by the large condor's sharp beak. Ulioli was in so much pain that she groaned. "If you continue to watch, I won't go easy on you." Ulioli roared at Ning Shu, her face pale. This divine beast shouldn't be a peacock, but a toad. It only jumped when poked. It didn't have any self-awareness as a contracted divine beast. Ning Shu flew towards Ulioli. She kicked the large condor away and hugged Ulioli's waist. "Jasper fruit," Ulioli reminded Ning Shu. Ning Shu hugged Ulioli's waist and flew towards the jasper fruit. The giant eagle's flapping wings were trembling in the air. It was likely that Ning Shu's mythological beast aura was somewhat unbearable for him. However, when he saw that Ning Shu was about to pick the jasper fruit, he still fiercely rushed towards Ning Shu. Ning Shu waved his hand and swatted the eagle away. He picked 2 jasper fruits and said to the eagle, "5 jasper fruits. I left 3 for you." The large eagle screeched, not daring to approach. Ning Shu hugged Ulioli and flew to the ground. Ulioli looked at Ning Shu's face in a daze. Ning Shu let go of Ulioli. Ulioli immediately regained her senses and took the jasper fruit from Ning Shu's hand. Holding the jasper fruit in his hand, it was incomparably cool and comfortable. There were clearly 5 jasper fruits, so why did you only pick 2? Glazed Jade asked angrily. Her hand had been pecked by the large eagle, so she had only gotten 2 jasper fruits. "Why did I pick all 5? Ning Shu said carelessly. "I only guaranteed that you wouldn't die. I didn't say that I would do everything for you. You clearly could have gotten 5 jasper fruits, so why did you leave 3? It's not like you can't beat the large eagle." Ulioli was very displeased. "Aren't you a mythological beast? You can't even beat a bird that can't transform. Don't provoke me. You already have 2 jasper fruits. Don't be greedy," Ning Shu said indifferently. Ulioli took a deep breath. Did this damned bird know how precious the jasper fruit was? He only took 2. "Do you know the value of the jasper fruit? The jasper soul returning pill is something that has a price but no market." Ulioli felt that she was about to be angered to death by this stupid bird. "Since it's so precious, it's already not bad to get 2, Ning Shu said casually. Ulioli took a deep breath. "Don't tell me you were merciful because you saw that the large bird was a bird like you? In our world, the strong are respected. There's no such thing as merciful." Ning Shu looked at Ulioli. "I did this because I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy. Seeing you unhappy makes me happy." Ulioli was speechless. What sin did she commit? Other people's contracted beasts were all cute and adorable. Only her contracted beast was a thorn. Ulioli was very unhappy. She said, "No matter what, we've already contracted. We're one. Our interests are the same. What good does it do for you if I'm weak? If I stay weak, you'll always have to protect me." Ulioli should make things clear to the peacock. She should talk openly and honestly. Ning Shu said, If you're willing to break the contract, I'll definitely treat you very well. Yulioli bandaged her wound. She said, I don't trust you at all. If I really break the contract, you'll definitely kill me. My life is in your hands. You can kill me if you want to. I'm very unhappy, Ning Shu said directly. I've never thought of killing you. I'll use the contract to kill you. I've said it before. We're partners. We share the same interests. Yulioli explained helplessly. Ning Shu, my life is in your hands. You're talking about partners with me. If you really treat me as a partner, you should at least change the contract. At least make it an equal contract. How about that? Ning Shu said to Yulioli. You have to show some sincerity. Yulioli's expression became even more helpless. I don't even know how to make a new contract. Yulioli couldn't beat this peacock, so she decided to make a contract with it. She didn't expect the contract to succeed. Yulioli was originally a trash who couldn't cultivate. But as the daughter of a big family, she definitely knew how to cultivate and contract spiritual beasts. Even Yulioli didn't expect the contract to succeed. It was probably because her transmigrator soul was stronger that she was able to suppress the divine beast. But Yulioli was also in pain when she made the contract. It was as if she had taken a trip to the gates of hell. It wasn't easy for her to make a contract with a divine beast. How could she cancel or change the contract? Unwillingly, the peacock had no choice but to use the contract to suppress him. Once she became stronger, wouldn't the peacock submit to her? Ning Shu scoffed at Yulioli's words that she didn't know how to cancel the contract. Yulioli needed power to protect herself. She wanted freedom and control her own fate. So the conflict between Yulioli and Kong Lin could only disappear by canceling the contract. Ning Shu felt a bit of a pain in the ass. Now that she had an ass, it really hurt. If she couldn't cancel the contract, what if Yulioli killed her when she became stronger? She would fail her mission. If she failed, she would have to do 6 in a row. Ning Shu was very unhappy. Very unhappy. Yulioli was also very unhappy. She could have gotten 5 jade fruits, but now she only had 2. Yulioli looked at Ning Shu's androgynous face and silently told herself not to be angry. Once she became stronger, she would definitely make this arrogant divine beast kneel in front of her. She was just a little weak now. Chapter 1483. Yulioli wanted to punish the disobedient Ning Shu, but she was afraid that Ning Shu would resist. She was unwilling to do so. Who told this peacock to be a divine beast? Ning Shu's head hurt a little. Clearly, Yulioli wanted to use the power of the contract to punish him. But for some reason, she gave up. To be honest, this punishment made Ning Shu's heart turn cold. That kind of punishment felt like it was going to tear his soul apart. It would disappear at any time. Ning Shu looked at the rice-sized thing in his mind with a heavy heart. Could he get rid of the contract if he removed this thing from his mind? Yulioli, who was walking in front, suddenly turned around and looked at Ning Shu. Don't think about getting rid of the contract. You can't. Ning Shu, how did she know? Please don't think so strongly in the future. I can feel it. If you have any thoughts of betrayal, I can feel it, Yulioli said. Ning Shu, what can I say? I'm crazy. There was no desire at all. Yulioli, as the owner, could feel whatever he was thinking. Did he still have human rights? No wonder the client wanted to break the contract. Think of a way to be free. Not only was his life controlled, but even his thoughts were controlled. It was really unbearable. If the client was a slave, then it would be fine. But the client was a free and powerful divine beast. It was the most painful thing to have something taken away. Ning Shu's expression turned ugly. He asked, "Do you know what I'm thinking?" "I don't know everything, but if you want to hurt me or betray me, I will be able to sense it instantly. So, don't try to do bad things behind my back." Yulioli crossed her arms and smiled at Ning Shu's constipated face. It wasn't easy. He finally managed to turn the tables in front of this peacock. But this peacock was the most good-looking man he had ever seen in his 2 lives. Just looking at this face made him unable to vent his anger. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. This was too much. Ning Shu had never thought of killing Yulioli, because before he could do so, he would have been killed by the power of laws. Even if he wanted to deal with glazed jade, he would have to wait until the contract was broken. But just now, you wanted to kill me and betray me, didn't you? I felt it again. Yu Liuli looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. Very unhappy, very unhappy. Seeing Ning Shu deflated, Yu Liuli couldn't help but smile. The proud peacock. Jade Glaze walked slowly in the mountain range, cultivating while looking for natural treasures. At night, Yu Liuli took off her clothes and bathed in the pool. Ning Shu was lying on the tree beside the pool. Then he saw Yu Liuli emerge from the water naked. Her skin was like jade, curvy, and her hair was as black as ink. Jade Glazed Jade was a top-notch beauty. Yu Liuli slowly put on her clothes and looked at the tree Ning Shu was lying on. Have you seen enough? Ning Shu was expressionless. I've seen enough. They were all women, so one look would be enough. I've even seen men before, not to mention women. If she wanted to look at men now, she could just take off her belt. Ning Shu thought about it and suddenly felt that he was molesting this body. Fragrant Wind Guy had said that there were male mission enforcers who liked to wear female clothes and molest female bodies. Was she molesting a male body now? Ning Shu chanted Amitba in his heart. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Yu Liuli didn't expect to be molested by a peacock. He even answered very honestly, which made her angry and amused. Luckily, Ning Shu had a good-looking face. If he was a little more perverted, Yu Liuli would have already destroyed Ning Shu. Ning Shu touched his face. For the first time, he felt the benefits of being good-looking. After bathing, Yu Liuli ate some fruits and started to cultivate. Yu Liuli found these fruits herself. Usually, Yu Liuli couldn't order Ning Shu around. She just gave up and did whatever she could. She couldn't be bothered to call Ning Shu. Ning Shu and Yu Liuli lived together peacefully. Yu Liuli cultivated while Ning Shu pondered about the strange object in his mind. How could he deal with this thing the size of a grain of rice? It felt like this thing controlled her fate and peeped into her heart. If only he had entered the mission before the contract. He could have destroyed Yu Liuli with a single claw. But the inertia of the plot was very strong. When Ning Shu came, he was already contracted and shackled. Ning Shu used his spiritual power to slowly wrap the grain of rice. But as soon as he touched it, it bounced back. His soul was shaken and Ning Shu's vision turned black. It was too strong. Ning Shu rubbed her head with all her might. It hurt so much. His soul was weak and in pain. Ning Shu was a little scared. His soul was very strong, but facing this thing, his soul was about to be torn apart. If it was the person who entrusted him, his soul would probably be scattered. He could only watch helplessly as this thing invaded his sea of consciousness and took control of him. This was the law of the heavenly Tao. He couldn't go against it. What could he do? What could he do to get rid of this thing? Ning Shu lay on the tree branch tiredly. It didn't feel good to be controlled like this. Ning Shu's soul was so tired that he couldn't muster up any energy. His soul seemed to be injured. Yu Liuli saw Ning Shu's listless look and asked, "What's wrong?" "I'm not in a good mood." "Ignore me," Ning Shu said directly. Yu Liuli, why did she feel like her contracted divine beast's hormones were out of order? Yu Liuli continued to wander in the mountain range. Relying on Ning Shu's divine beast aura, she collected a lot of good things. She also found a strange place. This place was a bit like an expert's tomb. Ning Shu, the person who entrusted him, had been in this mountain range for so long, but he didn't find such a place. Actually, it wasn't a tomb. It was a battlefield. Perhaps too much time had passed, forming an underground cave. There were human corpses and the corpses of huge animals. It was clearly a scene of a battle between humans and beasts. Yu Liuli picked up the weapons that had fallen on the ground. Some of the weapons had been eroded by the wind, but some could still be used. Ning Shu saw a skeleton sitting there. This skeleton didn't turn into white bones like the other skeletons. Instead, its skin was all dried up. It vaguely retained its appearance when it was alive. This skeleton held a spear and was aggressive. Even though it had been dead for a long time, the remnant aura made Ning Shu very uncomfortable. Because it was very powerful. It completely suppressed her. How powerful must this person have been when they were alive? Looking at the piles of white bones around her, she realized that they were all the corpses of huge animals. The remnant aura of these corpses made Ningxu's soul even more depressed. These corpses were much more powerful than the divine beast who entrusted him. There must have been a huge battle here. Chapter 1484. Ningxu saw the skeleton holding the spear. Yu Liuli also saw it and walked towards it. Yu Liuli reached out to grab the spear in the corpse's hand. Ningxu hurriedly said, "Don't touch it." When Yu Liuli touched it, the spear and the skeleton turned into ashes. Yu Liuli was stunned. Then she felt something rush into her mind. There was a gray thing in her consciousness. Yu Liuli's expression was very conflicted. Ningxu asked, "What's wrong?" "Something seems to have rushed into my consciousness." Yu Liuli frowned. An unknown object appeared in her consciousness. It couldn't be trying to take over her body, right? Ningxu let out a long breath. What was going to happen had happened. This gray thing wasn't anything else. It was a wisp of a remnant soul. This skeleton belonged to a human god. It had fallen in battle and preserved a wisp of its remnant soul. When Yu Liuli touched the skeleton, this wisp of remnant soul went into Yu Liuli's mind. More importantly, this was the future male lead. The male lead was still very weak. The remnant soul could dissipate at any time. He could only use Yu Liuli's consciousness to nourish it. Gods from 1,000 years ago were really powerful. Ningxu's head hurt. With this thing that was like a nuclear weapon, it would be even more difficult for her to get rid of Yu Liuli. The male lead would slowly recover his strength. If Yu Liuli was in any danger, he would float out to help her. However, the male lead was just a wisp of a soul. He didn't even have consciousness. Ningxu felt that time was tight. Before the male lead recovered, she had to get rid of Yu Liuli and end her life as a slave. Ningxu's face was filled with despair. Yu Liuli saw Ningxu's twisted face and felt even more uncertain. Ningxu asked, "Is there any danger?" Ningxu's mouth twitched. "It's probably a remnant soul. Be careful. Is there any way to get her out?" Yu Liuli felt uncomfortable when she thought of someone living in her body. He was very afraid of harming himself. A person's soul. Ningxu shrugged. "I'll tell you after you break the contract with me." "Peacock Flower, aren't you taking advantage of the situation too much? We've been through life and death situations before." Jade Glaze frowned, her aura flourishing. Ningxu knew that this would be the case. No matter what, Yu Liuli would not be willing to break the contract with her. "Is there any way to expel this remnant soul from my sea of consciousness?" Jade asked Ningxu anxiously. Ningxu shrugged and said, "I don't know either. This is your future husband, what's the point of banishing him? Everyone had different fates." Ningxu felt that if he touched the corpse, when the remnant soul woke up, it would definitely be possessed. But Jade Glaze was different. This remnant soul was a god from 1,000 years ago. It was very capable and powerful. It also knew how to concoct pills. Most importantly, it was quite good-looking. His mighty and domineering aura matched Jade Glazed Glass very well. This was the perfect match for the male lead. People who could cultivate to become gods were all bosses. Even though the person who commissioned it, Kong Lin, was a divine beast and had the word God in his name, there was still a big difference between him and a god. The ones who truly cultivated to become gods were beast gods. Before the male lead woke up, Ningxu had to protect Jade Glazed Glass. Protecting a wisp of smoke's male lead was also protecting himself. Ningxu was very tired, very tired. Jade Glazed Glass didn't get any treasures and even had her sea of consciousness invaded by a remnant soul. She left with an ugly expression. When she returned, she had to think of a way to get rid of the remnant soul in her sea of consciousness. This feeling was as if a stranger had barged into her home and taken over her house. After leaving the cave, Jade Glazed Glass said to Ningxu, "You're a peacock, so you can fly, right? I'm going back now." Ningxu was in a bad mood and directly said, "You don't have legs? Walk on your own." Jade Glazed Glass's expression turned serious. Kong Lin, don't go overboard. Even though you're a divine beast, you're worthless in my eyes. Don't think that you've been wronged. Ning Shu said, since I'm worthless, you can cancel the contract. Jade Glazed Glass coldly snorted and turned to leave. Jade Glazed Glass felt that she was the most unlucky transmigrate. Her contracted divine beast was disobedient and had a remnant soul in her sea of consciousness. She was so unhappy that she wanted to die. Jade Glazed Glass still wanted to sit on this beautiful and powerful divine beast and go home so that those who bullied the original owner and her could open their dog eyes wide. She was a special agent, so how could she let these people bully her? Jade Glazed Glass walked in front and Ning Shu followed behind her, resigned to his fate. Jade Glazed Glass stopped and turned her head to look at Ning Shu. Since you don't want to follow me, you don't have to. You can leave. Then cancel the contract. If you cancel it, I'll turn and leave. Ning Shu shrugged. Jade Glazed Glass was puzzled. As my contracted divine beast, can't you be a little more loyal and have some sense of responsibility? I was forced to sign the contract. I never thought of becoming a contracted divine beast. You forced me to sign the contract and even had so many demands. Ning Shu tidied up his dark green sleeves. Jade Glazed Glass said angrily, if I didn't sign the contract with you, I would be the one dead. I was just trying to protect myself. The winner takes all. If you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck. I know you divine beasts are arrogant, but I still won't cancel the contract because I'm worried that you'll kill me. The contract was Jade Glazed Glass life-saving straw. First, she had a strong helper who could protect her. Second, she could prevent the peacock from killing her. Although Jade Glazed Glass was confident, she didn't think that she could fight a divine beast with her current strength. Jade Glazed Glass felt that her attitude towards the peacock was too soft, which was why this contracted divine beast was so arrogant. Otherwise, with her temper in the past, she would have taught this arrogant peacock a lesson. Jade Glazed Glass snorted. Ning Shu felt like his brain was about to explode and his soul was trembling. Ning Shu squatted down and held his head. The veins on his forehead were bulging. His soul was torn apart, then pieced back together, then torn apart again over and over again. Ning Shu was sweating profusely. He wanted to bang his head against the wall. Just as he was about to fight it out with Jade Glazed Glass. Suddenly, a strong will was about to crush his soul. This was the power of contract law. Ning Shu suppressed this thought. A contracted divine beast couldn't hurt its master. Once it did, it would be killed. Ning Shu's eyes were red from the pain. He hadn't felt such extreme pain in a long time. For a moment, Ning Shu wanted to die. She wanted to just fail the mission and forget about it. But he wasn't willing to fail like this. If he failed, he would have to do 6 chain missions. There was also the law space. If he couldn't enter the law space, he wouldn't be able to comprehend the law. If he couldn't comprehend the law, he would forever be a mission enforcer who only knew how to wave his fists and use brute force. Chapter 1485. Ning Shu felt as if he had taken a walk through hell. It was incomparably painful. In the end, Yu Lioli couldn't maintain the attitude of a partner. Ning Shu held his head and looked up at Yu Lioli. He panted and said, "Is this interesting?" Yu Lioli's expression was cold. "This is your punishment for being disobedient. You are now my contracted divine beast." Ning Shu's temples bulged and the veins on his face bulged. His androgynous face became hideous and terrifying. Ning Shu panted. "I cultivated for countless years and experienced countless heavenly tribulations before I became a divine beast. I'm not willing to become your contracted beast and serve you just because of a contract." The hard work and cultivation of the person who entrusted him was like a joke. Strength was obtained through hard work. It wasn't bestowed to him by Yu Lioli. Why did he have to be so humble? "I'm not asking you to serve me. I'm just asking you to get along and support each other," Yu Lioli said. "If you keep being like this, I don't mind teaching you a lesson." In the end, she was a spirit beast. As long as she didn't get rid of her wild nature, she would always be so rebellious. She couldn't always screw up like this, Ning Shu groaned. He felt as if his soul was being torn apart. Get along and support each other. This was called getting along well. Support each other? Shouldn't it be enslavement? He couldn't even change the contract. He didn't ask for a soul contract. At the very least, it should be an equal contract. It was a master-servant contract. Ulioli's words and actions were completely different. It perfectly explained what it meant to say one thing and mean another. Ning Shu said impatiently, "You might as well just kill me. This is my attitude. Do you want me, an elephant, to kneel in front of an ant?" If it wasn't for the existence of the contract, he could destroy Ulioli in one move and scatter her soul. Are you still not convinced? Ulioli frowned. She didn't expect her first contracted divine beast to be so stubborn. Peacock Flower, I think you still don't understand the situation. Right now, you are the meat on my chopping block. You're stronger than me, but I'm the one who contracted you. The process doesn't matter, but the result is that I've contracted you. I'm your master. Ulioli was also getting impatient. She had been waiting for Hua Peacock to beg for mercy, but Hua Peacock's stubbornness made Ulioli very unhappy and uncomfortable. When she became stronger in the future, she would definitely deal with the peacock. Ulioli was someone who couldn't tolerate sand in her eyes. She would rather go without than have something substandard. Once unfaithful, 100 times unfaithful. Ulioli didn't dare to cancel the contract. If she did, Hua Peacock would definitely attack her. More than once, she felt that Hua Peacock wanted to kill her. Ning Shu's brain was about to explode. His whole body was in so much pain that it was spasming. His muscles were twitching nervously. Ning Shu leaned against the tree and tried his best to endure the pain so that he wouldn't roll on the ground. As for the pain and whatnot, it would pass as soon as he endured it. Jade sighed helplessly and rescinded the punishment. The pain in Ning Shu's mind slowly disappeared, but Ning Shu didn't have any strength left in his body. Ning Shu was in a lot of pain. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Jade said. Ning Shu could only walk forward. It was as if his whole body was floating. This was the power of the contract. You had to do whatever you were told to do. There was no way to resist. Was she strong enough to go against the laws of heaven and earth? Ning Shu rubbed his head. He had strength, but he couldn't do anything. He was restricted by Jade. He had a strong fist, but he couldn't even reason with it. However, Jade was right. Winner takes all. Who asked you to be so unlucky? It was quite helpless. I'm going back now. Turn back into your original form. Jade said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu weakly supported himself against the tree. My soul is about to dissipate. There might be problems if I fly into the air. Are you really going to sit on me back? Jade had probably never experienced the pain of her soul being torn apart. Even when taming a horse, it was like giving a sweet date with a big stick. Now, he even wanted to sit on her back. Jade glanced at Ning Shu. I'm not afraid. But I'm afraid. Jade, don't think that this is very satisfying. Watching me roll around in pain is very satisfying. I can't even use 10% of my strength now. My soul is also injured. If you encounter any danger, I can't save you. It's better if we all die together. Ning Shu said calmly. If it really didn't work, this mission would fail. Then he would do 6 more missions. He would fucking hug her and explode together. He would blow her soul away. His strength wasn't something that could be reasoned with. It was so fucking annoying. Why were the missions she encountered always so difficult? It was so annoying. Ning Shu was holding back his anger. He was a little affected by this body. In addition, Ning Shu was used to freedom. After doing so many missions, no matter how difficult the missions were, he was at least a free and independent individual. It was unlike now where he was controlled by someone else. His life and death were in someone else's hands. Even his thoughts were controlled. He couldn't have any thoughts of betrayal. From now on, his life didn't belong to him. He had to put his master first. He couldn't resist. He didn't even have time to cultivate. He had to wait for his master's call at any time. Ning Shu really couldn't take it anymore. Ning Shu took a deep breath and suppressed the restlessness in his heart. He said to Jade Glazed Jade, "My soul is injured. I can't fly." Jade Glazed Jade couldn't help but frown. What was this? It seemed like she couldn't punish him like this in the future. The gains didn't make up for the losses. After all, she still had to rely on the peacock. Lowering his combat strength wasn't good for her. Jade Glazed Jade snorted. "So, don't always provoke me. In the end, you'll be the one suffering. I've never seen someone so disobedient." Other people's contracted beasts were very obedient. She was the only one who didn't listen. Seeing the peacock's strength, she couldn't be bothered to argue with him. One day, she would tame this stupid bird and make it willingly submit to her. Jade Glazed Jade didn't insist on Ning Shu transforming into his original form to take her home. Instead, she walked back by herself. Ning Shu followed behind her. He chanted the clear heart mantra in his heart. His soul was very uncomfortable, and his mood was a little restless. After walking for a few days, they finally walked out of the mountain range. During this time, Jade Glazed Jade had gained a lot in the mountain range. She had contracted a peacock, a divine beast, and many natural treasures, such as the jade fruit, as well as a remnant soul. It was a great harvest. Her body, which used to be trash, could now cultivate. Jade Glazed Jade was very spirited. Jade Glazed Jade brought Ning Shu back to the clan. They were stopped by the clan's guards at the door. The Yu clan was a large clan. There were many talents in the clan. However, the original Jade Glazed Jade was a trash who couldn't cultivate. She was often bullied by the other members of the clan. Jade Glazed Jade's status in the Yu clan was very low. Chapter 1486. Now, Yulioli was being stopped by the servants. Yulioli snorted. "I am the 6th young mistress of the Yu family. You dare to stop me?" The servants at the door looked at each other. This was the 6th young mistress? She didn't look like one. Yulioli's name was famous in the capital. A trash who couldn't draw spiritual energy into her body and was engaged to the genius 5th prince. She was an idiot who followed behind the 5th prince every day, deeply afraid that her future genius husband would run away. In short, the previous Yulioli's reputation wasn't good. But now that the core of this body had changed, her temperament was completely different. Yulioli's aura was fierce and domineering. It was completely different from the weak idiot Yulioli. The servants definitely couldn't recognize the current Yulioli. Where did this 6th young mistress come from? The 6th young mistress of the Yu family died of a sudden illness. Or you? How dare you pretend to be a member of the Yu family? A servant scolded. "Get lost." Yulioli's expression was ugly. She died of a sudden illness. They probably thought that she wouldn't be able to return alive from the mountain range. The original Yulioli was dead. Now it was a brand new Yulioli. Impudent. Open your dog eyes and see who I am. Yulioli exploded with a powerful aura. If you don't want to die, get lost. Or you pretending to be a young mistress of the Yu family? The servant's expression changed. The 6th young mistress of the Yu family, Yulioli, didn't know how to cultivate. This person wasn't weak. She definitely wasn't the 6th young mistress. Ning Shu stood at the side and watched. He didn't plan to intervene. It wasn't up to him to do something like this. This was Yulioli's own business. It was better for her to do something like this herself. After such a thing happened at the door, many servants and courtyard guards came out with weapons. Some courtyard guards were able to cultivate, but without sufficient cultivation resources, they would choose to become the guards of large clans in order to obtain cultivation resources. Yulioli sneered. "You think you can stop me with your numbers? This young mistress, please leave." Yulioli put her hands behind her back and said solemnly, "As a guard of the Yu family, you don't even recognize your master." Ning Shu listened from the side. Why did he feel that Yulioli was hinting at him? These guards swarmed forward, but Yulioli handled them with ease. In just a few moves, these guards were all knocked down. Everyone fell at her feet, groaning in pain. Jade Glazed Glass is improving very quickly. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes. It seemed that he had to quickly cancel the contract. When Yulioli became strong enough and no longer needed her protection, Her doomsday would come. The commotion at the entrance caused a commotion in the Yu family. The Yu family head, Yu Xiongfei, brought his men to the entrance. Who are you? Yu Xiongfei looked at Yu Lioli and asked hesitantly. Yu Lioli said sarcastically, Grandpa, how can you not recognize your granddaughter? I'm Yu Lioli. What kind of life did Yu Lioli lead in the Yu family? Impossible, you can't be Yu Lioli. A woman in embroidered clothes exclaimed. Yu Lioli, what happened to her? Yu Lioli looked at the woman who spoke. It was this woman who had people throw the original Yu Lioli into the mountains. She was the one who caused Yu Lioli's death. As for the reason, it was naturally because of that genius, the fifth prince. Yu Linglong, are you surprised to see me? Someone who was supposed to be dead has appeared in front of you. Yu Lioli said coldly. Her face was cold and filled with sarcasm. Yu Linglong immediately put away her surprised expression and said with a smile, Sixth sister, it's good that you're back. I thought something happened to you. You can't cultivate, but you insisted on going with the fifth prince to gain experience. The fifth prince came back and said something happened to you. Fortunately, you're back. Sixth sister, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you haven't married the fifth prince yet. You're ruining the Yu family's reputation by following behind the fifth prince. This Yu Linglong had gained the initiative by striking first and rattled off a bunch of words. Yu Lioli's face was cold and sarcastic. You know what the truth is? Yu Linglong smiled. She looked dignified and elegant. Ning Shu shook his head. It was sisters fighting again. It probably had something to do with that fifth prince. Since ancient times, the only thing that could make a woman fight, especially a sister, was a man. If you're back, then you're back. What's the point of making such a big scene? You're just making a joke out of yourself. Family head Yu Xiongfei said coldly. You even beat up the family's guards. You're quite capable. Yu Lioli saw that Yu Xiongfei was so cold. He didn't even ask about what happened to the original owner. He couldn't even enter the door and instead blamed her. The people of the Yu family were all like this. They were like snakes and rats, bullying the weak. Just because the original owner couldn't cultivate, she should be bullied by them? Grandfather, you're really biased. Yu Linglong immediately said, Sixth sister, how can you say that about grandfather? Grandfather is the head of the family. He has to consider everything. You've benefited from it, so you're naturally speaking up for him. In my heart, he's not worthy of being a grandfather. Yu Lioli retorted. Yu Xiongfei's expression didn't change. You've only gone out for a trip, yet you're speaking so rudely. You're becoming more and more unruly. In the future, you'll stay in the mansion. You're not allowed to go anywhere. My legs are grown on my body. I can go wherever I want to go. You don't have the right to restrict me. Yu Lioli said domineeringly. Yu Linglong persuaded, Sixth sister, don't talk so much. There's no need for you to be so hypocritical. You just want me to die. That way, you can live together with the fifth prince. Yu Lioli directly exposed Yu Linglong's thoughts. Shut up. Reflect on your mistakes in your room. Yu Xiongfei couldn't help but scold with an ugly expression. Ning Shu sympathized with Yu Xiongfeng. It wasn't easy being the head of the family. He had to manage the affairs of the family. Yu Lioli was also very straightforward. Even if the two sisters wanted to fight for the same husband, it was fine as long as they knew in their hearts. This wasn't something to be proud of. It wasn't good for the reputation of the Yu family either. Yu Linglong said with a little surprise, Sixth sister, what are you talking about? The fifth prince is your future husband. How is he related to me? Sixth sister, could it be that you have someone in your heart and don't want to marry the fifth prince? That's why you said such things. You made grandfather angry and slandered my reputation. Sixth sister, I don't know what happened when you went missing, but don't say such improper things. Yu Linglong looked at Ning Shu. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. I'm just an onlooker. I'm not the subject of Yu Lioli's scandal. Or you? Did you deceive sixth sister? Yu Linglong asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu shook his head. I didn't. Ning Shu felt that Yu Linglong's words and actions were really like the daughter of a big family. She was considerate of everything. Yu Linglong had already noticed Ning Shu, who was dressed in green. Chapter 1487. It was hard to tell if Ning Shu was a man or a woman. His green robes made him look ethereal and peerless. Yu Linglong suspected that he was Yu Liuli's new lover. Yu Liuli sneered, her face full of mockery. Second sister, you really put in a lot of effort for that Fifth Highness. You even slandered me for having another man. Since you like the Fifth Highness so much, how about I give him to you? The prerequisite is that you can get him. Wasn't it just a man? That man didn't seem like a good person either. He was very cold to the original Yu Liuli. Perhaps that Fifth Highness had hooked up with Yu Linglong, and that was why he wanted to kill the original Yu Liuli. Nonsense. What are you saying? Yu Xiongfei's face was cold. Stop embarrassing yourself here. Hurry up and go in. Young master, thank you for bringing this old man's granddaughter back. The Yu family will definitely reward you greatly, but it's not convenient to entertain you now. Yu Xiongfei cupped his hands towards Ning Shu. Ning Shu also cupped his hands. All right. Yu Liuli rolled her eyes. As my contracted beast, you still want to leave? This is my contracted beast, not some random man. Yu Linglong, watch your words. Yu Liuli sneered, slightly lifting her chin to look at her. Divine beast. When the surrounding people heard that it was a divine beast, they all looked at Ning Shu with blazing eyes. It was as if they were looking at an alien. Yu Xiongfei looked at Ning Shu. A divine beast? Of course, a divine beast. So, don't say that he's my man. Yu Liuli looked at Ning Shu. Show your true form and let these people see. Otherwise, there will always be people splashing feces on me. Ning Shu was speechless. So what was the situation now that she had to show her true form and let these people see it as if they were visiting a zoo? If you want to stay in the Yu family, show me your true form. Otherwise, the two of us will be considered adulterers. Yu Liuli said to Ning Shu. Besides this reason, Ning Shu felt that Yu Liuli was trying to act cool. Just now, Yu Linglong had said that Ning Shu and Yu Liuli had an improper relationship and had made the fifth prince a cuckold. In the end, this man turned out to be a divine beast. Was there anything more humiliating than this? Everyone stared at Ning Shu. Yu Liuli looked at Ning Shu with an unfriendly gaze. Ning Shu could only reveal his original body. The original owner was a beautiful peacock. The feathers on his body were brilliant and colorful. Under the sunlight, he was very beautiful. Ning Shu turned around and looked at his own body. It felt too strange. Seeing Ning Shu reveal his true form, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Yu Liuli arrogantly looked at Yu Linglong. See? This is my contracted divine beast. Yu Linglong's expression was somewhat unsightly, but she forced a smile. Congratulations, sixth sister. You actually managed to contract a divine beast. Ning Shu returned to his human form. He could sense that Yu Kaidai was looking at him with covetous eyes, as well as a trace of jealousy, helplessness, and disgust. Clearly, the jealousy and helplessness were directed at Yu Liuli. Yu Xiongfei looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu cupped his hands. Greetings. Spirit beasts that could cultivate into human form had lived for many years. They had cultivated for a long time and experienced heavenly tribulations. Ning Shu hurriedly cupped his hands in return. You're too polite. Yu Xiongfei said to Yu Liuli, since he's your contracted divine beast, you should get along well. Respect and support each other. Yu Liuli had a mocking expression. Previously, she had always been cold to her or ignored her. She had never treated her as a granddaughter. Now that he knew that she had formed a contract with a divine beast, his attitude immediately took a huge turn as he eagerly instructed her. Grandpa, just ignore my existence like before. Just pretend you don't have a granddaughter like me. Yu Liuli entered the door with her hands behind her back. When she passed by Yu Linglong, she said softly, Clown, you'd better not jump around in front of me. I still haven't settled the matter of the mountain range with you. Yu Linglong almost couldn't keep the smile on her face. She clenched her fists in her long sleeves and said indifferently, I don't know what you're talking about. Yu Liuli snorted coldly and walked away. Ning Shu passed by Yu Linglong. Yu Linglong looked at Ning Shu with longing in her eyes. Obviously, she hoped she could also contract a divine beast. Ning Shu followed the Yu family through the door. The Yu family's house was very big. There were carved dragons, painted rafters, fake mountains, and gardens. There was also a very big martial arts field. It took up a lot of space. Several branches of the Yu family lived there. Yu Liuli arrived at a small courtyard. This courtyard was very desolate. Yu Liuli pushed open the door. This is my life in the Yu family. My parents are dead, and Grandpa still ignores me. Yu Liuli sat on a chair and poured tea from the teapot on the table. However, there wasn't a single drop of water in the teapot. Yu Liuli's face darkened. Ning Shu glanced at the furnishings in the house. It was very simple. Everything was very old. Ning Shu waved his hand, brushed away the dust on the chair, and sat down. It's okay. There's food and drink. Ning Shu said. Yu Liuli sneered. I've been bullied in the Yu family. My grandpa didn't even say a word. It was as if he didn't know me. Ning Shu played with his fingers. This pair of hands was really beautiful. Then what do you want? The whole family has to treat you like a princess. Ning Shu realized that Yu Liuli had a bit of princess syndrome. But they don't have to treat me so coldly. I think if I wasn't engaged to the fifth prince, these people would be even worse. Yu Liuli was very unhappy with Ning Shu going against her. The peacock was her contracted beast and should be on the same side as her. Now, it was actually mocking her. Don't tell me those bullies did the right thing. Yu Liuli looked at Ning Shu unkindly. Ning Shu shrugged. You used to be someone who couldn't cultivate. In this world, the strong are respected. Resources are naturally concentrated on those who can cultivate. It's a waste to give them to someone who can't cultivate. Strength is the reason why a family can stand tall. You already attracted attention because of your engagement to the fifth prince. If your grandpa treats you like the apple of his eye, there will be even more people targeting you. Can your grandpa protect you at all times? You don't have the ability, yet you still take up so many resources. Won't people hate you? Ning Shu felt that Yu Xiongfei's way of doing things was correct. There were so many people in a family. As the head of the family, he had to be careful in all aspects. What was the benefit of holding someone who couldn't cultivate so high? Ignoring and not caring would not attract attention. Others are lucky to cultivate painstakingly. You don't do anything and live better than anyone else. It's normal to kill you. Ning Shu said very straightforwardly. Originally, Yu Liuli had probably gotten into trouble because she had an engagement with the genius fifth prince. Everything had a cause and effect. Yu Liuli glared at Ning Shu and sneered. You really have a rebellious bone. Do you know what kind of life I used to live? Chapter 1488. Ning Shu didn't know what kind of life Yu Liuli was living. At most, she was mocked for not being able to cultivate. It turned out that Yu Liuli was being criticized because of the genius fifth highness. Since she was a genius, as long as she didn't die, her future was limitless. But Yu Liuli was a girl who couldn't cultivate. People only attacked the weak, which was why there were so many rumors. In addition, there were people who added fuel to the fire. However, these rumors helped Yu Liuli achieve her goal. In the future, people who saw Yu Liuli would think, this girl is different from the rumors. Peacock, you have no right to speak without experience. Yu Liuli sneered. Ning Shu shrugged. I'm just speaking from an objective point of view. Furthermore, you have no experience. You just inherited Yu Liuli's memories. Could it be that she had to join forces against a common enemy? Could it be that she had to rush over to take revenge for Yu Liuli? Teach the people who bullied Yu Liuli a lesson? Ning Shu wouldn't do that even if he had nothing better to do. Speaking of which, Ning Shu felt that she was similar to Yu Liuli. Yu Liuli taught the people who bullied the original owner a lesson, then she could occupy this body with a clear conscience and do something for the original owner. She wouldn't feel guilty about occupying this body. As for Ning Shu, he did it for the points and the soul power of the person who asked him to do it. While Ning Shu and Yu Lioli were talking, the housekeeper of the Yu clan came over and cupped his hands. The clan head has arranged a new courtyard for Mississippi. You can go take a look now. If there's anything you want, just let me know, the housekeeper said respectfully. Yu Lioli sneered. Now you want my courtyard? Ha! The housekeeper was a little embarrassed. He cupped his hands and bowed without saying anything. Yu Lioli twirled her teacup and said, I'm used to living in this courtyard. I'll live here in the future. Tell grandfather that there's no need for special treatment. I'll live like before. Oh right, I don't get to drink a cup of hot tea in this courtyard. I came back from so far away and didn't even get to drink a cup of water. The butler immediately said, this old servant will send someone to bring the tea over. Miss, please wait for a moment. Ning Shu supported his head with his hand and looked at Glazed Jade, who was showing off her might. Although he didn't know how a person with such a personality could become a super agent. However, it was indeed quite childish. They thought that this was very domineering and seemed to vent their anger. But Glazed Jade still didn't understand the nature of the matter. In a world where cultivation was possible, the rule of the strong being respected would be magnified. If you don't have the ability, you won't be able to enjoy some things. When you have the ability, there are some things you can enjoy. Now that Glazed Li could cultivate and contract with a divine beast, her strength was not weak among the family's disciples. Was Yu Li trying to mock those people for not recognizing pearls? At the end of the day, she was still a princess. After a while, a maidservant ran over, panting. She carried a kettle in her hand and brought water over. Yu Lioli's indifferent expressions scared the servant girl so much that she started to sweat. The little girl Ning Shu said, pour me a cup of tea too. After talking so much, she was also thirsty. The little maidservant poured tea for Ning Shu with a red face. She glanced at Ning Shu's face and immediately lowered her head, looking shy. You can leave, Glazed Jade said. The little maidservant immediately bowed and left. Your face is quite attractive, Glazed said as she sipped her tea. Ning Shu smiled and said, do you also like me? But how can we love each other when we are of different genders? Glazed Jade snorted. I don't like flashy men. That's good. I don't like women like you either. Ning Shu shrugged. Yu Xiongfei asked Glazed Jade to move out of the courtyard. Glazed Jade didn't move for some inexplicable reason. Ning Shu also stayed in the courtyard. He stayed in the room next to Glazed Jade's. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the bed. As he cultivated, he tried to expel the thing in his mind. It was a thing about the size of a grain of rice. Ning Shu had no way to deal with it. Ning Shu used his mental energy to slowly approach this thing. This thing should be Glazed Jade's soul. It was entwined with her soul and was protected by the heavenly Tao. As soon as his mental energy came into contact with the grain of rice, it was immediately repelled. Ning Shu's mind went blank. Even his ears went deaf for a moment. It was as if there was an electric current buzzing in his ears. Ning Shu shook his head. It was very uncomfortable. This thing was really hard to deal with. Ning Shu's paws were numb. He didn't know what to do. When his mind didn't feel so uncomfortable and the repelling force was gone, Ning Shu used his mental energy to slowly reach toward the grain-sized ball. He was very careful. Ning Shu discovered that if his mental energy came into contact with the ball too roughly, the ball would violently rebound and knock him out. It was like a spring. After fighting a battle of wits with the ball for a while, Ning Shu was sweating profusely. His mental energy was about to dry up. Even his soul was about to dissipate. When he couldn't hold on any longer, Ning Shu hurriedly stopped. He cultivated for a while. When his soul wasn't so uncomfortable, he continued to touch the ball. Ning Shu even wanted to use his mental energy to wrap around the ball and break the soul connection with the Glazed Jade. But as soon as he touched it, he was repelled. It was so painful that he wanted to hit the wall. Ning Shu suspected that his soul was about to dissipate. Because it was very heavy and tired. His soul had been consumed too much. He still had a chain mission to do. Ning Shu was really afraid that his soul would dissipate during the mission. He was really irritated. Ning Shu simply mobilized the fire dragon in his dantian and led it into his sea of consciousness. He used the fire yang qi to roast the ball. The fire dragon turned into a ball of flames and burned the ball floating in his sea of consciousness. However, it was useless. The ball didn't change at all. It didn't move at all. Ning Shu was very depressed. Anyway, he was just going to burn it. Whether it was useful or not, at least he could comfort himself. He felt that it should be useful. Jade glazed jade had been cultivating since she came back from the mountain range. She usually didn't leave the courtyard. Usually, the servants would send her food. And the food was very delicate. These servant girls were very respectful to Jade glazed jade. This showed that Jade glazed jade's status in the Yu family had risen. Indeed, it was useful to show off at the door. However, Ning Shu had a problem. Many servant girls kept finding all kinds of reasons to go to her room. They would pour her some tea and ask if she was hungry. These servant girls looked at her with a face full of tears. Their bashful appearance made Ning Shu's balls hurt. Ning Shu simply turned into a peacock and curled up on the bed. These servant girls wouldn't be shy in front of a peacock, right? Sigh, being handsome also had its problems. As expected, when Ning Shu turned into his original body, the number of servant girls who came to visit decreased. A handsome guy was completely different from a bird. Chapter 1489. After returning to the Yu family, Yu Liuli's life was very peaceful. Occasionally, she would slap people's faces and teach them a lesson. She always had a proud and mocking face, mocking everyone for not recognizing Mt Tai. Yu Xiongfeng wanted to send Yu Liuli to the academy to study and cultivate. Now that Yu Liuli could cultivate and had a divine beast, sending her to the academy was also telling others that Yu Liuli was no longer trash. She was worthy of the genius fifth prince. Yu Liuli didn't comment on going to the academy. She thought that going to the academy wasn't bad, and she wanted to meet the so-called genius fifth prince. She wanted to break off the engagement. Thus, Yu Liuli arrogantly accepted the suggestion of going to the academy. Yu Liuli never thought of having a future with the fifth prince who was already engaged. Firstly, this was Yu Liuli's original fiancé, not hers. She didn't like this bullshit fifth prince at all. Secondly, she was in cahoots with Yu Linglong. She even threw the original Yu Liuli into the mountains, causing her death. Ning Shu was a little annoyed when he heard that Yu Liuli wanted to go to the academy. No matter where Yu Liuli wanted to go, she had to follow her and be her protector, and she was forced to do so. Sixth sister, let's take care of each other when we go to the academy, Yu Linglong said to Yu Liuli with a smile. Yu Liuli tilted her head and looked at Yu Linglong. She said indifferently, "Do you know what I hate the most about you? It's your hypocritical look. You don't dare to say anything and only know how to play dirty tricks behind people's backs. You are sisters. In the future, the Yu family will have to rely on you. How can you be like this?" Yu Xiongfei said with a headache. Ning Shu drank his tea and watched the two sisters quarrel. Yu Linglong and Yu Liuli weren't biological sisters. They were cousins. Their fathers were brothers. Yu Liuli's parents were dead. Yu Liuli was the most pitiful in the Yu family. She had no father, mother, or siblings. Yu Linglong was mocked by Yu Liuli, and the smile on her face gradually disappeared. "I don't know why you feel like I'm the one who harmed you. Ever since you came back, your personality has changed. Sixth sister, did you get involved with something bad? How can a person's personality change so much?" Yu Linglong bowed to Yu Xiongfei. "Grandfather, granddaughter is wondering if this person is Liuli. Liuli doesn't look like this." Yu Liuli sneered. "Yu Linglong, you're really interesting. Now you're saying that I'm not Yu Liuli. If I'm not Yu Liuli, then who am I?" Sixth sister can't cultivate, but you can. Furthermore, Yu Linglong glanced at Ning Shu. Furthermore, sixth sister can't form a contract with a divine beast. Ning Shu calmly sipped his tea without saying a word. Anyway, it was none of her business, so she just watched the show. Jade glazed jade's personality was like heaven and earth, from one extreme to another. He would probably have to be reincarnated to be so domineering and arrogant. It wasn't that no one noticed Glazed Jade's abnormality, but now that Glazed Jade was able to cultivate, her strength wasn't weak, and she even had a divine beast. They could not afford to offend him. Sixth sister is a gentle person, unlike you, who is overbearing and doesn't even put grandfather in your eyes. Yu Linglong said unhurriedly. Oh, what should I be like? Letting you guys bully me without retaliating, that's gentle. I don't want anyone to bully me now, that's why I'm a different person. Yu Lioli sneered. Alright, Lioli is Lioli. Linglong, don't talk nonsense in the future. Alright, prepare to go to the academy. Yu Xiongfei waved his hand impatiently. Yu Xiongfei rubbed his forehead. It seemed that he wasn't happy that Yu Lioli could cultivate and become stronger. Because the Yu family wouldn't have a peaceful life in the future. These two girls were not easy to deal with. Anything that disintegrated would begin to rot from the inside. If they really fought, it would be the Yu family's loss. Yu Lioli snorted coldly. Grandfather, why are you trying to smooth things over? Do you know that I was bullied by the granddaughter you're so proud of? And what happened in the mountains? I almost didn't make it back alive. Shouldn't you seek justice for me? I don't want anything, I just want justice. Just because my parents are dead, I deserve to be trampled on? She wanted justice for the dead Yu Lioli. Do you know why I can't cultivate? It's because I was poisoned. Yu Lioli's face was cold. As for who poisoned me, Yu Xiongfei's face turned even uglier. What good would it do to make some things out? He could only comfort her. There's no conclusive evidence for this. Later, go to the manager and get a bottle of Clear Heart pills. It can help you keep your mind clear when you cultivate. Clear Heart pills were also good pills. But Yu Lioli's face turned even uglier. When did I say I wanted pills? I don't care about pills at all. Yu Xiongfei wanted to settle the matter peacefully and compensate Yu Lioli. But did Yu Lioli look like someone who would bend over for pills? Yu Xiongfei was also angry. If you don't want it, Linglong, take it. Yu Linglong said obediently, thank you, grandfather. Yu Lioli snorted and turned to leave. This temper. Yu Xiongfei felt a headache coming on. She was just like a fool. Ning Shu put down his teacup. Since her master had left, she should also leave. Yu Linglong also left the hall and followed behind Ning Shu. Ning Shu turned and asked, why are you following me? Yu Lioli looked at Ning Shu's face and her expression changed. She took a deep breath and said, I just want to know if you really formed a contract with my sixth sister. Ning Shu snorted. You just want to ask about this. I want to ask what happened to my sixth sister. How did she have the fortune to form a contract with you? Yu Linglong asked Ning Shu respectfully. Ning Shu looked at Yu Linglong and narrowed his eyes. He went to the pavilion and sat on the stone bench. Yu Linglong followed behind Ning Shu and bowed. I hope you can tell me what happened to my sixth sister that caused her temperament to change so drastically. Ning Shu was just about to speak when his mind went blank. It was as if an electric current had flashed through his brain. Ning Shu rubbed his head and said, I'm not too sure. As a contracted beast, she couldn't say or do anything that was disadvantageous to her master. Yu Linglong pursed her lips and suddenly said, do you want to break the contract with my sixth sister? Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and didn't say anything. Yu Linglong saw that Ning Shu wasn't angry and said bravely, I think my sixth sister's attitude towards you is very bad. You are a divine beast that lives as long as the heavens and have great strength. Why do you have to live under her? Ning Shu, you think I want to? Ning Shu understood that Yu Lioli was here to poach him. Chapter 1490. A master-servant contract could only be cancelled if the master was willing to cancel the contract. As a servant, Ning Shu was quite tempted. She wanted to cancel the contract more than anyone else. Ning Shu picked up the pastry on the stone table and slowly ate it. Cancel the contract with Yu Lioli and then contract with you? Yu Linglong waved her hand. I have never thought of forming a contract with you. If you want to form a contract with me, then it is a blessing that I have cultivated for 3 lifetimes. Ning Shu took a bite of the pastry. So she still wanted to form a contract with him. Of course, if you are willing to form a contract with me, I will be filial to you and respect you. Yu Linglong's tone was a bit hurried. Everything I said is the truth. If there is a lie, then may the heavens strike me with lightning. Ning Shu didn't suspect that Yu Linglong was lying. After all, this was a world of cultivation. If this kind of promise was broken, it would create a heart demon. During the tribulation, one might turn into ashes. The process of cultivation was a process of self-cultivation. It was a process of preserving the truth and obtaining great power. Ning Shu finished eating a pastry and patted the crumbs on his hand. He supported his head with his hand and lazily said, "You are telling me this. Aren't you afraid that I will tell you Lioli? After all, I am Yu Lioli's contracted divine beast." Yu Linglong smiled and said, "Ever since Sixth Sister came back, I have been observing you and Sixth Sister. I found that your relationship with Sixth Sister is not so harmonious." Ning Shu said, "Oh, then how do you know that my relationship with Yu Lioli is not good? After all, my life is tied to hers. First of all, Sixth Sister's actions are quite resentful towards you. Next, you are very cold towards Sixth Sister." Yu Linglong carefully looked at Ning Shu. "This is Linglong's bold speculation. I hope you won't be angry." Ning Shu pointed at the stone bench. "Sit down. It is tiring to stand and talk." "Thank you, sir." Yu Linglong's face revealed a happy smile. She sat on the stone bench opposite Ning Shu and poured a cup of tea for Ning Shu. "I see that you like tea very much." Ning Shu nodded. "Why are you telling me this?" Yu Linglong bit her lips. "I want you to break the contract with glazed jade. It has nothing to do with me. You also saw it just now. Sixth Sister relied on your existence to argue with grandfather. She always felt that I was the one who caused her death. Everything I did was to protect myself." Yu Linglong said. "I even suspect that Sixth Sister's body has been taken over by someone. I've heard that a powerful spirit master's body will remain after death. They will take over someone else's body, especially someone with great aptitude." Yu Linglong lowered her voice and said. Ning Shu drank his tea. Although Yu Linglong's words were not accurate, they were not far off. After all, the glazed jade was no longer the original glazed jade. "Do you hate her that much because of the fifth prince?" Ning Shu asked in a gossipy manner. These people frequently mentioned the fifth prince, but they had never seen what the fifth prince looked like. They had only heard of his name but never seen him. Not only because of the fifth prince, but also because glazed jade and the fifth prince are not compatible. Glazed jade cannot cultivate. Her lifespan is less than 100 years. The fifth prince is the most talented person in the royal family. He will only get stronger and stronger. He will live much longer than glazed jade. Even if the fifth prince goes into seclusion, when he comes out, glazed jade will already be old. Yu Linglong said. Ning Shu swirled his teacup. "That's between them. It's not just because of this. It's because I hate glazed jade. Glazed jade's mother was injured when she was pregnant with glazed jade. As a result, glazed jade was not able to cultivate in the womb. I have been cultivating non-stop since I was young. My days are filled with sweat. However, glazed jade was held in the palm of little uncle's hand. What I have to work very hard for, glazed jade can easily get. It's just a matter of a sentence. She doesn't even cherish it. Because little uncle is powerful, the royal family arranged a marriage with him. The fifth prince became glazed jade's fiancé. I worked so hard and suffered so much. But what about glazed jade? My hard work is a joke. Why doesn't glazed jade do anything? Why doesn't she cultivate? She doesn't need to do anything. But what about me? I have worked so hard, but I can't get what I want. Glazed jade can take away what I have been longing for with a sentence." Yu Linglong had never said these words to anyone. She was panting heavily when she spoke. Even her face was distorted. Ning Shu looked at Yu Linglong and said, "You look ugly like this. You look ugly when you're jealous." Yu Linglong touched her face and took a deep breath. "I am jealous of him. Life is not smooth sailing. When glazed jade was young, she was held in the palm of his hand. She even took away what she wanted. But when her parents died, her life became difficult. And your hard work in the past allowed you to gain a foothold in the Yu family. No one dares to look down on you or respect you. Your hard work is rewarded. There are gains and losses in life. Miss, don't be jealous. You look ugly. Ning Shu smiled and said, I think you are much more outstanding than glazed jade. His words were watertight and his actions were impeccable. These were all trained when she was young. Glazed jade did not have parents, so her life was very difficult. The main thing was the difference in her heart. Thank you for enlightening me. But when glazed jade came back, the feelings from when she was young came back. I feel very powerless and angry. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, Relax. Why are you comparing yourself to glazed jade? Jealousy is the devil. The supporting female lead could not help but be jealous of the female lead's good luck. Sometimes, when you want something desperately, you have to put in a lot of effort. But for some people, it is easy and effortless. It really made people feel sullen and powerless. Luck was something that made people feel very, very powerless. Ning Shu said helplessly, I also want to break the contract with glazed jade, but we signed a master-servant contract. Hearing this, Yu Linglong opened her cherry lips slightly and looked very surprised. Finally she asked, She is the master and you are the servant? Ning Shu nodded. She is so weak. How can she contract with a divine beast? And it is a master-servant contract? Who knows what happened? Ning Shu asked Yu Linglong, other than letting glazed jade voluntarily break the contract, what other way is there to break the contract? Yu Linglong frowned and shook her head. Other than the dominant side of the contract taking the initiative to break the contract, there is another way to break the contract. Ning Shu quickly asked, What way? Yu Linglong said, That is to die. When the contracted beast dies, the contract will naturally break. Ning Shu was speechless. So there is no other way, right? Yu Linglong said, The main thing is that there is no other way to break the contract. Chapter 1491. The other party could only say, Don't be too sad. Find joy in the midst of pain. Hence, the cancellation of the contract depended on the master's mood. If the master agreed to cancel the contract, then it could be cancelled. If not, then there was no other way. The contract would bind the master for life. Ning Shu, what can I say? I'm also in despair. I really didn't expect that you and Yu Lioli would be master and servant. I thought it was a soul contract, or at least an equal contract. I didn't expect it to be master and servant. Ning Shu shrugged. Hence, this was something that made people feel despair. We are in the same boat. Yu Linglong looked at Ning Shu sympathetically. Yu Linglong felt that Ning Shu was more pitiful than her. Ning Shu, don't look at me like that. What are you doing? Yu Lioli stood not far away and looked at Ning Shu and Yu Lioli in the pavilion. Yu Linglong and Ning Shu bowed and left. Yu Lioli walked into the pavilion and looked at Ning Shu. What did you say to Yu Linglong? Nothing much, just chatting, Ning Shu said. Don't forget that you are my contracted divine beast. Don't interact with Yu Linglong. Yu Lioli looked at Ning Shu with more vigilance than before. She was cold. Obviously, Ning Shu's interaction with Yu Linglong made Yu Lioli uncomfortable. She thought that Ning Shu was going to betray her. Yu Lioli was someone who couldn't tolerate even a little bit of sand in her eyes. Her people were talking and laughing with the enemy. Yu Lioli was very unhappy. If she hadn't turned back, she wouldn't have known that the two of them had met. At the same time, her dissatisfaction with Ning Shu had reached its peak. Can I talk to Yu Linglong? Ning Shu said indifferently. Seeing Yu Lioli's murderous look, Ning Shu felt that Yu Linglong was really a scheming girl. Even if she didn't succeed in poaching him, if Yu Lioli saw the two of them talking together, and the two of them talking alone, it would definitely arouse suspicion. This would definitely arouse glazed Jade's suspicions, and there would be a knot between the two of them. If she made Yu Lioli unhappy, it would be best if Yu Lioli killed her. That way, Yu Lioli's strength would be greatly reduced. Ning Shu clicked his tongue twice in his heart. None of them were simple girls. You're not allowed to interact with Yu Linglong in the future. I don't like her. Yu Lioli stood up and left. Ning Shu stood up and stretched. Whatever you say, she thought to herself. Not far away, several maids were whispering to each other as they stared at Ning Shu, their faces filled with lust. Ning Shu raised his head and waved at them. Hello, beauties. Ning Shu waved his hand, and the maidservants were so excited that they almost fainted. It made Ning Shu feel like an idol. After returning to the dilapidated courtyard, Ning Shu began cultivating. He wasn't cultivating but fighting against the small ball in his mind. This thing the size of a grain of rice controlled her destiny. Under the heat of the sun flame, this small ball stood firm and didn't fall. There was no change at all. Ning Shu used his mental energy to reach towards the small ball. The moment he touched it, it bounced back. His head felt like it was smashed by a giant hammer. Ning Shu felt dizzy and shook his head. It was really too difficult. There was no way at all. No wonder no one could escape the power of the contract. This was the rule and he had to follow it. Ning Shu rubbed her head. She gritted her teeth and hardened her heart. She directly poured out all of her mental strength and wrapped it around the small ball. The small ball shook and shook Ning Shu's mental energy away. Ning Shu's vision turned black and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Blood flowed out of his eyes, ears, and nose. Ning Shu laid on the bed. Even if he opened his eyes, he couldn't see anything. He was temporarily blind. Ning Shu used the spiritual energy in his body to heal his bleeding orifices. Ning Shu pulled the blanket over his body and went to sleep. So, he couldn't be too rough with this thing. If he was too rough with it, the rebound would be too rough. Even if Ning Shu rested for a night, his head was still dizzy. He sat on the bed for a long time and didn't want to get up. Damn it, when would he be able to solve this thing? It seemed like he had to mention it to Jade Glaze to see if she could break the contract. The door creaked open and a maidservant entered. Ning Shu said, "Young master, 6th Miss wants you to go to the front hall. She said that she is going to the academy." Ning Shu sighed. She really had a tough life. He had to be a follower. Ning Shu rubbed his head and lifted the blanket. The maidservant hurriedly poured a cup of water for Ning Shu. Ning Shu took the water. "Thank you." After drinking the water, Ning Shu felt a little better. But his soul was too uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. He didn't know what his soul was like. It was probably going to scatter. His soul was probably going to scatter. "Young master, go quickly. 6th Miss is still waiting." The maidservant Ning Shu urged. Ning Shu nodded. "I understand." The maidservant looked at Ning Shu with her watery eyes. The way she blinked her eyes was really cute. Everyone loved beauty. This maidservant was drooling over her beauty. Ning Shu tidied up his clothes and went next door to find Jade Glaze. Jade Glaze had a high ponytail and looked really valiant. "We are going to the academy now. Use your main body there." Jade Glaze said to Ning Shu. "I can turn into a person. Why do I have to turn into a peacock?" Ning Shu asked. Not only did he have to be a follower, but he also had to become a peacock. The person who entrusted him was a peacock and a really beautiful one. If he walked in a crowd, he would attract a lot of attention. This went against Ning Shu's principle of keeping a low profile. "Peacock, you are a man and I am a woman. If we walk together, it will inevitably cause misunderstandings. Besides, I am still engaged to the 5th prince. I don't want to be called a slut." Jade Glaze said. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu felt that Jade Glaze was trying to act cool. If she had a beautiful contracted beast by her side, it would break the rumor that she couldn't cultivate or contract with spirit beasts. Ning Shu said, "What is more impressive than having a beautiful man by your side? Having a beautiful man at your beck and call is more impressive than having a peacock." Jade Glaze sneered. "You are quite narcissistic. You call yourself a beautiful man." Ning Shu asked, "Am I not beautiful enough?" "Fine." Jade Glaze lifted her chin. "I will allow you to serve me at my beck and call." Ning Shu chuckled. "As you wish." Ning Shu followed Jade Glaze out the door. There were 2 carriages at the gate. Yu Linglong stood beside one of the carriages and greeted Jade Glaze in a dignified and reserved manner. "6th sister." Jade Glaze grunted in acknowledgement. She didn't give Yu Linglong any face and directly got into the carriage. Yu Linglong's smile didn't change. Ning Shu bowed and also got into the carriage. Ning Shu also got into the carriage. She didn't want to walk. The aftereffects of last night made her soul very weak, and the tearing pain was still there. Chapter 1492. Ning Shu also wanted to go to the academy to look for information and see if there was any other way to break the contract. The method of contracting spirit beasts was invented by humans to enslave spirit beasts. But this method was protected by the laws of heaven and earth. The carriage wobbled as it headed towards the academy. This academy specialized in nurturing the strong. There were noble royals and ordinary people. As long as they were talented enough, they could enter the academy. There were also many aristocrats whose families recruited students with good aptitudes from the academy. The academy was able to stand tall, so there must be some power behind it. Ning Shu was only interested in the academy's books. Ning Shu was really afraid of going against Xiao Qiu. It was too uncomfortable. Ning Shu suspected that she couldn't complete this mission at all. It was going against the rules of this world. To get rid of such rules, Ning Shu felt despair just thinking about it. Ning Shu leaned against the carriage. The carriage wobbled. Yu Liuli looked at Ning Shu. "You look very tired recently. What did you do when I didn't ask you to do anything?" Ning Shu said, "Your punishment last time hurt my soul. My soul was damaged and I haven't recovered yet." "Is it that uncomfortable?" Yu Liuli didn't believe him. "You didn't try it, so of course you don't know." Ning Shu said angrily. If there was a chance in the future, he would definitely let Yu Liuli taste the pain of her soul being torn apart. Yu Liuli said, "Do you think I want to punish you? It's all because you didn't listen." Ning Shu chuckled and closed her eyes without saying a word. The carriage wobbled to the academy's entrance. Yu Liuli kicked Ning Shu and got off the carriage first. Ning Shu opened his eyes, got off the carriage, and stretched. There were many people lining up at the academy's entrance. Yu Linglong walked over and said gently, "Sixth sister, I'll take you to report." Yu Liuli refused. No need. She didn't know how to report? She was a super agent. What didn't she know? Ning Shu stood still and watched as Yu Liuli went to report. Yu Linglong Ning Shu asked, "Sixth sister didn't make things difficult for you, did she?" Ning Shu smiled and said, "Little girl, you're not being honest." Yu Linglong pursed her lips. It's good to be a little scheming, but it's wrong to play tricks on others. I can crush you with a single finger. Don't play tricks on people who are stronger than you. If Jade Glazed saw me kill you, she would probably be very happy," Ning Shu said nonchalantly. Yu Linglong's expression changed. "I have never thought of scheming against anyone. All right, I'm not really going to kill you. Only by killing him would Jade Glaze's heart be satisfied." "Thank you, senior." Yu Linglong didn't dare to say anything to Ning Shu. Yu Liuli walked over with a heavy expression, holding 2 tokens in her hands. She handed the other token to Ning Shu. "This is the token that grandfather prepared for you." Ning Shu looked at the token over and over. The 2 words Kong Lin were carved on it. "Your grandfather is quite meticulous. At least, he didn't ask her to become a peacock like Yu Liuli. It's just that grandfather saw how strong you are and wanted to win you over." Yu Liuli sneered, sounding very sarcastic. "But I feel good in my heart." Cultivating hard was to control one's fate and be respected by others. Otherwise, why would she cultivate so hard? If she had the time, why didn't she play? Dealing with people was also a form of knowledge. Just like how Yu Liuli was strong. Her temper was said to be straightforward and cold because she had the right to be arrogant. If she was a weak chicken, she would be beaten up by others and have a pig's head. With such benefits, she cultivated hard. Otherwise, why would Yu Liuli cultivate to become strong? Why would she want to defy the heavens? He bought you over just like that? You really don't have a backbone, Yu Liuli mocked. This is called being respected 10 times over. Reaching out one's hand was like hitting a smiling face. Even Yu Liuli was like a rash person who could be so awesome. In Ningshu's eyes, Yu Liuli's domineering aura was just a rash person with serious princess syndrome. Those who followed him would prosper, and those who opposed him would perish. Yu Liuli's lips twitched. You are mocking me for not treating you well. But don't forget that you are my contracted divine beast. Ningshu lazily said, other than the contract, what do we have? We don't have any feelings. Yu Liuli didn't even give him the basic warmth. She thought that others would have to submit to her domineering aura. Yu Liuli didn't think of increasing her strength. Her soul was damaged, but Yu Liuli didn't find any spiritual items to nourish her soul. She used the master-servant contract to order people around. She wanted the horse to run and didn't eat grass. She took all the good things in the world. Yu Liuli looked at Ningshu. I realized that ever since you met Yu Linglong behind my back, you have become strange. Let me tell you, I cannot tolerate betrayal. Even if it is just a trace of betrayal, the people by my side are people who can trust each other and entrust their backs to each other. Yu Liuli slightly raised her chin and looked at Ningshu. I am serious. If I find out that you have betrayed me, I will not let you off easily. Ningshu, when did I say that I would be loyal to you? Your sweetheart is here to pick you up on a mantis shrimp. Ningshu raised his chin in that direction. Yu Liuli's expression was strange. She turned and saw a man walking towards her with a group of people behind him. The fifth prince walked straight to Yu Liuli and stood in front of her. I heard from your grandfather that you came to the academy to learn cultivation? The fifth prince asked Yu Liuli. Yu Liuli's expression was cold. She said impatiently, since you already know, why are you still asking me? Ningshu watched from the side. This fifth prince was really a dragon among men. He was handsome and talented. He was a good young man, but he was destined to be unable to love Yu Liuli. Even if the fifth prince was not bad, compared to the remnant soul in Yu Liuli's mind, he was still not enough. That wisp of spirit was truly peerless in its generation and was extremely powerful. The key was that it could suppress Yu Liuli's temper. The fifth prince was defeated. He was usually the one who was flattered. His expression was a little ugly when Yu Liuli didn't give him face. This is... The fifth prince looked at Ningshu. Ningshu said directly, I am her contracted beast. There is no other relationship between us. A spirit beast that can transform? The fifth prince narrowed his eyes. He had a strange expression. Have you said what you wanted to say? If you are, I will leave. Yu Liuli left without looking back. It was a waste of time to talk to this scumbag. Ningshu glanced at the fifth prince. The fifth prince's expression wasn't good. He didn't get angry and left with a flick of his sleeve. Ningshu slowly chased after Yu Liuli. On the way, many girls looked at Ningshu and whispered to each other. The client's appearance was truly beautiful. Chapter 1493. Yu Liuli and Ningshu entered the academy together. Yu Liuli was busy with classes and training her own strength. Yu Liuli also chose the alchemy specialization, wanting to become an alchemy grandmaster. In the future, Yu Liuli would become a powerful alchemy grandmaster, and she would be able to concoct any powerful pills. Ningshu kept trying to enter the academy's library. He wanted to go in and check for information, but the library wasn't usually open. There was still some time before it opened. Ningshu could only wait until the library opened and then go in to check the contract. Actually, Ningshu knew that even the things in the library might not be useful. He still had to rely on Yu Liuli. He had to rely on Yu Liuli to break the contract. Otherwise, he had to rely on himself to break the contract. Ningshu could only cultivate again and again, fighting against the small ball in his mind. To be honest, he was a little afraid when he saw this small ball. The feeling of his soul being torn apart was too painful. However, Ningshu had no choice. He could only fight it head-on. Ningshu mocked himself. He was like a foolish old man moving a mountain. However, the foolish old man moved the mountain away bit by bit. However, his actions had no effect at all. There was no return at all. It was so painful. He didn't know how his soul was tormented by her. Compared to Ningshu, who was dispirited every day, Yu Liuli's days in the academy were much more carefree. She became the last disciple of the best alchemy teacher in the academy. This teacher didn't accept disciples. His alchemy skills were famous, and he swore that he wouldn't accept any disciples. Many people were rejected, but when they saw Ulioli, they felt that Ulioli was very talented and outstanding. They clamored for Ulioli to become their disciple. However, Ulioli didn't care about this teacher at all. She directly said, "I don't need a teacher. What qualifications do you have to be my teacher?" Ulioli's attitude was in line with the teacher's temper. He kept pestering Ulioli to be his disciple. Moreover, this teacher was very protective. If anyone dared to bully Ulioli in the academy, he wouldn't let them off easily. From then on, Ulioli had another helper. Alchemy was a very popular occupation. Healing or increasing one's cultivation couldn't be done without the help of pills. Many people didn't dare to offend an alchemist. Ulioli had only reluctantly called him master because the alchemist tutor taught her everything he knew. Normally, she would just call him old man. Ulioli's participation in the school's competition had cleansed her reputation of being a trash in one fell swoop. Now, she was crowned as a genius. Her magnificence attracted many admirers. What made Ning Shu even more upset was that Ulioli's strength was clearly enough to fight against these students. When a student was competing, Ulioli had to drag her onto the stage like a clown. It wasn't a matter of life and death. It was just to step on her back and fly into the air. Because his opponent had released a contract beast, and a very powerful one at that. Glazed Jade, are you the only one with a contracted beast? What Ulioli loved the most was to crush others in their strongest aspect. For example, if you had a divine artifact, Glazed Jade would take out an even more powerful divine artifact. If you could refine a certain type of pill, Glazed Jade would refine a better quality pill. You have divine beasts, but I have many divine beasts. What you don't have, I have. What you have, I have even better. Her goal was to crush her opponent's heart. Ning Shu didn't want to reveal his true form in front of so many people, so he directly refused. Ulioli directly ordered, "I'm the master. Do you want to be in pain again?" Ning Shu unwillingly turned into a peacock, allowing Ulioli to step on his back and fly into the air. Ulioli's opponent was dumbfounded. So, what was the point of making such a big scene? As soon as the competition ended, Ning Shu immediately turned into a human. He had already achieved the effect of showing off. There was no point in doing it again and again. Seeing Ning Shu slip away, Ulioli was a little unhappy, but she didn't say anything. Ulioli wasn't weak. She entered the finals without much effort. At the same time, the genius Fifth Prince and Yu Linglong entered the finals. The grudge between these three people would probably escalate on the stage. Ning Shu noticed that the Fifth Prince kept looking at Ulioli, but Ulioli didn't even look at him. Many boys couldn't help but look at Ulioli. Ulioli was beautiful, and in addition to her powerful strength, she had a domineering aura around her. However, Ulioli was still engaged to the Fifth Prince. But that didn't stop some boys from coming over to hit on her. Ulioli was indifferent to these people who had ulterior motives. Sometimes, the Fifth Prince would even come over to help Ulioli block the suitors. Now, Ulioli's strength was enough to catch the attention of the Fifth Prince. She was worthy of the genius Fifth Prince. But now, Ulioli didn't like him. The Fifth Prince's actions were for the blind. Ulioli was just as indifferent to him. In her indifference, there was mockery and disdain. "Fifth Prince, you don't have to follow me. Just ignore me like before." The Fifth Prince was stunned for a moment, then said, "We have an engagement." "So what if we have an engagement? You never talked about it before. You didn't treat me like a fiancé before," Ulioli said mockingly. The Fifth Prince was also in the palm of many people's hands. He was the object of many girls' love. He had strength and status. Previously, he ignored Ulioli because Ulioli wasn't worthy of his attention. If he had the time, he might as well cultivate. He had no feelings. Now that Ulioli was worthy of his attention, and they had an engagement, the Fifth Prince naturally wanted to get closer to Ulioli. Ulioli felt that the Fifth Prince was a scumbag, especially a realistic and hypocritical scumbag. About the engagement, I want to break it with you. I don't like you, Yu Lioli said arrogantly. You can go find Yu Linglong. I wish you happiness. Ning Shu felt embarrassed for the fifth prince. In front of so many people, his fiancée wanted to break off the engagement. The surrounding people discussed animatedly, making the fifth prince's face turn red and white. Marriage is not a game. This engagement was set by my father and your father. It concerns the face of the royal Yu family. The fifth prince took a deep breath. He felt that this engagement wasn't so objectionable. At least Yu Lioli's strength was worthy of him. After all, cultivation could prolong a person's life. It was good for the two of them to be together for a long time. But he didn't expect Yu Lioli to want to break off the engagement. Did she feel that she had the strength and wanted to find someone better? What goes around comes around. Previously, the fifth prince looked down on Yu Lioli and treated her as a disgrace. A genius matched with an idiot. Now, it was Yu Lioli's turn to look down on him. Chapter 1494. The Fifth Highness was a proud child after all. After being humiliated by Yu Lioli, he turned around and left. Ning Shu said, "You made your sweetheart so angry that she left on a mantis shrimp." Yu Lioli glanced at Ning Shu. "She's not my sweetheart." "Why not?" "When I came here, I could always hear how infatuated you were with the Fifth Highness. Why don't you like her now?" Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and asked. "That's because I was a fool before. Who hasn't been young and frivolous before?" Yu Lioli sneered. Ning Shu felt that Yu Lioli's brain was now filled with essential oil. The finals continued. Yu Lioli was very relaxed. When facing the Fifth Highness, Yu Lioli laughed sinisterly and attacked fiercely. The genius Fifth Highness was thinking of going easy on Yu Lioli. Even if she lost, she would at least lose some face. But in a head-on confrontation, Yu Lioli's strength was beyond his imagination. The Fifth Highness's face darkened. He retreated step by step and could only summon his mythological beast. The Fifth Highness was a member of the royal family. It was normal for him to contract with a mythological beast, especially when he was so talented and was nurtured by the royal family. A man with fiery red hair walked onto the stage and transformed into a roaring lion. He was mighty and domineering. "Konglin," Yu Lioli called out to Ning Shu. "Ning Shu." Ning Shu could only walk onto the stage and transform into a peacock. He chirped. The Fifth Highness pursed his lips and took out his weapon. His expression was solemn. He was going to give it his all. This was the first time Ning Shu fought with a mythological beast. They talked as they fought. "What's your name?" "Shigang." "What about you?" Shigang saw that Ning Shu wasn't disgusted and replied, "I'm Kong Lin. We'll just fight. The outcome will depend on the two of them." "How long have you been in the human world?" "It's been many years. I've been raised by the Huangpu imperial family since I was young. I was groomed into a divine beast and signed a contract with the Fifth Highness." Lion Gang said. Ning Shu nodded. "So that's how it is." It was probably captured when it was still a cub. Ning Shu bumped into Shigang and asked, "What kind of contract did you sign with him?" "Equal contract," Shigang said. Ning Shu was speechless. "Then do you know how to break the contract?" Ning Shu asked. "It's impossible to break a life contract because it has already become one. If it's an equal contract, as long as both parties agree, it can be broken. If one side doesn't agree, and the other side insists on removing it, it's also possible. But they'll suffer a backlash and their strength will drop a lot." Ning Shu roared. Ning Shu dodged Lion Gang's attack and asked, "What about the master-servant contract?" "Master and servant, there's no chance." Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu and Shigang fought fiercely, but there wasn't any real damage. They were just playing tricks. Yu Lioli was better than the Fifth Highness, and her attacks were more ruthless. She injured the Fifth Highness, who fell to the ground and vomited blood. Shigang roared and rushed toward Yu Lioli. Ning Shu grabbed Yu Lioli's clothes with his claws and pulled her into the air. Yu Lioli was speechless. Damn, she looked so ugly. She was like a peacock that caught a fish. At least let her jump on his back. The referee judge declared Yu Lioli the winner. The Fifth Highness was helped down the stage and he kept vomiting blood. It seemed that he was seriously injured. Some people even stuffed pills into his mouth. The Fifth Highness' mouth was full of blood. He looked at Yu Lioli. Yu Lioli was on the stage, looking at the Fifth Highness with a cold expression. She didn't feel guilty at all for beating up the Fifth Highness. Yu Lioli felt that it wasn't enough. These people killed the original Yu Lioli, and this was just the beginning. The Fifth Highness was carried away. Ning Shu was depressed. He was hurt by Gang in his heart, and he was told again that the master-servant contract couldn't be broken. He was so tired. Next time, Yu Lioli against Yu Linglong. Ning Shu straightened his back and looked at the stage. The two sisters were going to fight. Ning Shu even saw Yu Lioli's lips curl up. Yu Lioli was going to teach Yu Linglong a lesson in front of so many people. Yu Linglong walked up the stage in her clothes and said to Yu Lioli, "Sixth sister, you're not weak, but you shouldn't have beaten up the Fifth Highness like that. Moreover, you're engaged. You should mind your own business. What position are you on to seek justice for the Fifth Highness?" There's no distinction between family members on the stage. There's only the opponent. Moreover, swords have no eyes. It's hard to avoid mistakes, Yu Lioli said without sincerity. Yu Linglong looked at her. "Do you have to be so aggressive? I'm just saying it because I care about you. The Fifth Highness is a member of the imperial family. If you beat the Fifth Highness like that, grandfather won't be able to explain it to the emperor." Couldn't Yu Linglong see that Yu Lioli did it on purpose? Of course she could. She was also secretly excited. This way, the Fifth Highness wouldn't like Yu Lioli and might even break off the engagement. These thoughts were like mice hiding in a hole that couldn't see the light of day. Yu Lioli sneered. "What a hypocritical and disgusting woman. You're probably so happy that you're pretending to be sad. How disgusting. Are you going to fight or not?" Yu Lioli attacked first. Yu Lioli's attacks were quick and direct. They were also tricky and ruthless. Yu Linglong could only passively defend. She was suppressed by Yu Lioli. Yu Linglong had been cultivating since she was young. She had never fallen behind. Under Yu Lioli's storm-like attacks, she lasted for a long time. Yu Lioli was a bit impatient. Her attacks were more tricky and she heavily injured Yu Linglong. Yu Linglong fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Yu Lioli walked towards Yu Linglong. Yu Linglong struggled to stand up. Yu Lioli sneered. She directly hit Yu Linglong's dantian in her abdomen in front of everyone. She directly destroyed Yu Linglong's cultivation foundation. Yu Linglong's body flew down the stairs and landed heavily on the ground. Yu Linglong was shocked and she vomited blood. Yu Lioli destroyed her cultivation foundation. Her dantian was broken. Yu Lioli stood in the arena and looked down at Yu Linglong who was vomiting blood. She mouthed to her, "I'll let you have a taste of not being able to cultivate and being bullied." Yu Linglong vomited another mouthful of blood and fainted. The fainted Yu Linglong's face was ashen. She was quickly carried away. When they passed by Ning Shu glanced at Yu Linglong who was on the stretcher. Yu Linglong's life was ruined. Unless there was some heaven-defying elixir that could repair her broken dantian. When two tigers fought, one of them would be injured. There was no possibility of peace between Yu Lioli and Yu Linglong. Now that Yu Linglong's cultivation foundation was destroyed, she could only be an ordinary person. Moreover, her body was seriously injured. She might be bedridden and her lifespan would be shortened. Chapter 1495. Unless the head of the Yu family, Yu Xiongfei, was willing to pay a huge price for Yu Linglong and obtain a divine pill that could repair her dantian. But the price was too high. With this amount of resources, he could nurture a new expert. Ning Shu shook his head and looked at Yu Lioli on the stage. This was the style of a victor. Ning Shu was no longer interested in watching the competition. Instead, he found a quiet place and lay on the tree. He started to fight with the small ball in his mind again, but it was so painful that he jumped down from the tree. Ouch, it's so painful. Ning Shu's mind was blank. He didn't even have the ability to think. Ning Shu was afraid that if he continued, his soul would really dissipate. Ning Shu could only stop and try again with Yu Lioli later. Yu Lioli took the lead and defeated her opponent, obtaining first place. She obtained a bottle of pills and a weapon that was close to a divine artifact. On the way home, Ning Shu saw that Yu Lioli was in a good mood, so he probed, "Yu Lioli, I want to discuss something with you." "Go ahead." Yu Lioli nodded. "When we made the contract, it was a master-servant contract. I'm a divine beast after all. Now that I've become a servant, I want to change the contract to an equal contract. What do you think? If it was an equal contract, he would just suffer a bit of backlash and lose his cultivation when he forcefully broke the contract. But his cultivation could be recultivated. As long as he could break the contract, he could still pay this price." Yu Lioli glanced at Ning Shu and said indifferently, "Even now, you're still scheming. Besides, if you want to recontract, you have to break the current contract. You want to trick me into breaking the contract, right? Once it's broken, you'll kill me." Yu Lioli looked at Ning Shu. "Do you think I'm so stupid? Do you think I want to keep you by my side? Keep someone with bad intentions?" Yu Lioli had a clear understanding of her own strength. Although she could defeat those people in the school, she was still far from a divine beast. "You think I want to keep you by my side? You think too highly of yourself." Yu Lioli sneered. "Maybe you are a divine beast, but I really don't put you in my eyes. One day, I will be stronger than you. I will be stronger than you. Ning Shu, then let me go, controlling my life and telling me that you look down on me. There's no one else who can do this. I know you will be strong in the future. So you can't change the contract, right?" Ning Shu asked. "If you perform well, I can consider changing the contract. But I won't change your attitude," Jade Glaze said directly. Ning Shu was very unhappy, and his face was full of displeasure. "Even if you are dissatisfied with me, you can't do anything to me. So, you should think about it carefully and do what a contracted divine beast should do. I will consider changing the contract." Ning Shu chuckled. Rather than waiting for Glazed Jade to change the contract, it was better for her to deal with the little ball in her sea of consciousness. Getting Glazed Jade to change the contract was even more impossible than getting rid of the little ball in her sea of consciousness. Since Glazed Jade didn't work, Ning Shu gave up completely. He would never talk about changing the contract again. He couldn't even change the contract, let alone get rid of it. The carriage stopped in front of the Yu family. The Yu family was in a mess. Because Glazed Jade had destroyed Yu Linglong's cultivation foundation, Yu Xiongfei was very angry. Yu Xiongfeng looked at Glazed Jade, who was always sticking her neck out and looking fearless, and couldn't help but say, "She is your sister. Why did you destroy her dantian?" Glazed Jade was also someone that the Yu family had carefully nurtured. If there were no accidents, she would be a powerful force in the future. Now that it was destroyed, all their previous investments were in vain. Moreover, it was a sister killing each other. This was the most infuriating thing. They didn't even have a chance to take revenge. If they really punished Glazed Jade and destroyed her dantian, the Yu family would be the ones to lose. "Oh, now you remember that you are my sister. When she bullied me and wanted to kill me, why didn't you remember that I was your sister?" Glazed Jade said sarcastically. Yu Xiongfeng looked at Glazed Jade. His face seemed to have aged a lot, and he looked a little haggard. "You are really ruthless. No matter how big the hatred is, it is not enough to destroy your sister's cultivation foundation. This is a hatred that will not end until one of us is dead." Yu Xiongfei looked at Glazed Jade coldly. "This grandfather of mine is also disgraceful. I neglected you and let you be bullied. You should kill me too, or destroy my cultivation foundation." Glazed Jade frowned. "Are you trying to use your seniority to pressure me? Since you are my elder, do you have the manners of an elder? If the elder is not kind, do you expect the younger generation to be filial? Now that Yu Linglong has been wronged, you should seek justice for her. I was about to die in the mountains, why didn't you say anything for me?" Glazed Jade's face was full of sarcasm. Yu Xiongfeng took a deep breath, turned around, and went into the house, closing the door. Yu Lioli had an indifferent look on her face as she walked towards her rundown courtyard. Ning Shu followed behind Yu Lioli, looking at her cold back. Yulioli felt that everyone in the Yu family had let her down. However, she couldn't be bothered with the matters of the Yu family. She still hadn't resolved the issue of the contract. Ning Shu was really worried that he would be trapped in this mission and his soul would dissipate. Should he give up on this mission? But if he gave up, he would have to make 6. It was too tiring. Ning Shu had completed 2 chain quests and she was exhausted beyond words. His soul couldn't hold on any longer. What exactly should I do? Ning Shu roared in his heart. Ning Shu was sitting cross-legged in his room, cultivating on his bed. Suddenly, he heard a mournful scream. Yu Linglong must have woken up and found out that her dantian had been destroyed. She probably couldn't accept this reality. Yu Linglong's voice was like a cuckoo crying blood. She screamed Yulioli's name and cursed Yulioli. She cursed Yulioli to die a horrible death. Then, Ning Shu heard the sound of the door next door opening. It should be Yulioli leaving. Ning Shu hurriedly got off the bed and opened the door. He saw Yulioli leaving the courtyard. Ning Shu hurriedly chased after her. It seemed that Yulioli was heading towards Yu Linglong's courtyard. Yulioli wasn't a magnanimous person. It would be strange if Yulioli could tolerate Yu Linglong's cursing. Moreover, Yulioli was a special agent. It was normal for special agents to have blood on their hands. If Yu Linglong really said something over the line, Yulioli might just pull out her tongue. Indeed, Yulioli arrived at Yu Linglong's courtyard. As she got closer, Yu Linglong's voice became even more terrifying. She screamed shrilly, filled with endless resentment. Goosebumps rose all over her body. In this world, strength was the foundation of a person, especially in a family like the Yu family. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.